Hello. I'm just checking on my. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see me and everything's okay. I'm just checking everything because it's been so long since I streamed. Just double checking. Commands work. Volume seems to be fine. I'm here. You're here. GHP is here. Thanks so much for subscribing, GHP. I appreciate you. 6-month streak. Hi, Plan with Shell. Yay, sounds good. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's been a few weeks, I think. Maybe 2. I don't know. Since I last streamed. I missed you all so much. I miss streaming so much. I love talking about all the things with you. Hi, Jacqueline, Queen of Washi. Enjoy the lurk. Go play with stationery. Hopefully. I mean, it's a Friday. I hope you're having a good Friday so far. And I hope you're having a good week. I hope the weather's okay where you're at. Here in the Vancouver area, it's actually warm. I think we're going up to 30 degrees Celsius for all my Fahrenheit friends. It's really hot. It's still bearable though, and it's summer. But also we have low air quality, which sucks because it's still wildfire season. So yeah, we're kind of dealing with that. And so it's kind of hazy and yeah, orangey in the sky, which is really weird. Did you see that Sterling Inc. just dropped all their new planners? Yes, I did see that, GHP. Did you pick anything up? I also saw that they sold out of, I think they had like a new release this year. And it was sort of a all-in-one hardcover planner. And I think they sold out within like 5 minutes or something, under 10 minutes. And so they're on pre-orders. It's really nice, I think, to see... especially with smaller planner shops and stationery shops when they come out with a planner, and to see them, sell out, which is kind of sad if you really wanted to get in on it. But it's encouraging because it means that, people are still, still a demand for it. People are still looking forward to planner season, right? And people are still jumping on these things, right? So I think it's really nice to see. I'm also not one of those people that had to use my ninja fingers to get a planner because I'm good for next year. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about planners today too. You're building your cart, Queen of Washi? I know. It's so tough. It's exciting. Don't get me wrong. It's exciting to plan for planners. But I definitely feel some of that anxiety sometimes, right? Like, did I make the right choice? And should I get backups just to make sure that if something doesn't feel right, can I jump to something else, right? And I think with Hobonichi sort of jumping off the planner season with their launch September 1st or August 31st, depending on where you are in the world, they kind of, they're kind of jump into it, and then it's like, do I get this? Do I get that? Do I get something else? So we're going to talk about that. It's warm in NJ. I'm ready for hoodies and sweaters. I'm ready. I love hoodies and sweaters. I love that cozy vibe. So I'm looking forward to fall and when it starts to cool down just a little bit. I'm not looking forward to Canadian winters, I'll tell you that, but fall is really nice here. So I'm trying rolling my own TN standard inserts, at least for the rest of the year. Awesome. Let us know how that goes, GHP. That would be fun. I'm tempted by notebook, but I'm not doing the common planner this year. Yeah, notebooks all the way, I think. Or if the paper isn't consistently good again this year. I feel like I'm crossing my fingers for Hobonichi, especially because they kind of got the brunt of, the bad batch of paper this year. And I really, really hope that their paper has been resolved and that people don't run into the same issues for next year. So we'll see. We'll see as people get their planners and start testing them. Because the inconsistency is what got me this year. I was just like, I cannot do inconsistent papers. So spoiler alert, I did not order any Hobonichi planners for next year. As of now. As of now. I'm going to put that caveat in because you never know. Hi, Dubes. How's it going? Long time no see. It's been a week. It feels like it's been, it was only a few days ago, and it's been a week since SF. Hi, Bailey. How's it going, friend? Finally made it to a Friday stream again. I know, I've missed you on the streams. I've had to follow you around and wander into other people's streams to talk. I keep having FOMO over Hobonichi, even though I don't use what I thought last year. That's interesting, Plan Michelle. Yeah, I'm having FOMO over Hobonichi, I'm not gonna lie. Because I was at the preview event that Jet Pens put on at the SF Pen Show. And so I got to touch and feel Hobonichi products, and they felt good. The paper felt good. I didn't get to test it, but everything felt good. It looked really good. And so I'm kind of FOMOing over, people getting their orders in for their Hobonichi products. But I'm holding fast not to order yet. So we will see. But yeah, let me know if you did order Hobonichi or if you ordered anything else, Sterling ink. Yeah, let me know. Olive Octopus! Thanks so much for subscribing. I appreciate you, friend. It's been good to catch your streams, Olive Octopus, especially because you're streaming more in September because of the St. Jude's campaign. I'm going to do a shout out for Olive Octopus, who's doing the St. Jude's, and I think a few people are doing it. Brad's doing it as well. There we go. So yeah, check out Olive Octopus, check out Brad, the Pen Addict on Twitch. There's a whole community out there. Rob is doing it too. A few of our some of our pen friends. Yeah, go check them out and just hang out on the streams and support them if you can. It does feel like yesterday doing all the things. Doing okay, all things considered, yeah. Oh, you're hoping your boss quits soon? Well, let's hope. Let's hope for you. You did order Hobonichi this year, Bailey. What did you get? If you want to share. Jack Toy, hi, welcome in. So good to see you. Even though we didn't get to chat for too long at the show, it was still good to see you. I love seeing familiar faces, right? It's just like, even if we just get to say hi and have a little bit of a chat, it's always nice to see people that you're used to seeing in the community and meeting new people, because then it feels like your people, right? It feels like your community, and it's, yeah, it just feels kind of nice. Dubes, you're rolling your own weekly planner using a disc-bound notebook. You're printing your own meeting notes. That's awesome. Yeah, I love personalizing and customizing things too. And that's why I think I'm really into the plotter system. I know plotter is not for everyone, and I know rings is not for everyone, but and I think that's why I've been really into flexibility, just because I can change around layouts as I want to throughout the year. And it's been really, really helpful for me this year, especially just with, all these things that are happening, travels and stuff like that. So I figure if you're using TRPO, it'll be a dice roll regardless of who you use. Yeah, Bailey, I'm with you on that. Yeah, regardless of whether you're using Sterling ink, and I think they had a few issues, sort of, not on the scale of Hobonichi, I don't think, but I'm sure anyone you go with, or Estelle, which is a Canadian shop, actually. They also have planners coming out. They did a Q&A on Instagram Live, if anyone caught it yesterday, I think. And it was just, they're pretty transparent about testing papers. They had to switch manufacturers, and there were some issues there. But, they're doing their thing, and I'm really hoping that it works out for everyone who's doing it. I'm so confused about time, Olive Octopus. Today I thought it was Thursday and it's not. It's Friday. Especially because you stream too, and usually Olive Octopus streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But it's September. It's a change of routine. It's a change of things sometimes. Yeah, Bailey, you were missed this morning. I had some FOMO when I saw the full layout of stuff. Yeah, little craft plays for sure, and some of the exclusive items like Japan exclusive and also online Hobonichi online store exclusives. You know, you kind of feel the FOMO over it, but we don't have to get all of the things. Right? We just find the things that we really like, that we really want, and choose. Hi, Karina. Karina knocks in the door. How's it going, friend? I miss you, and it's only been a week. Oh, Karina loves to plan. It's awesome. Karina, I saw that you put out a YouTube video of your SF experience. And I've yet to watch it, though. I have to catch up on all the content, but I can't wait to see it. Bailey, you got another week's? The Tuxedo Cat one. Yeah, I'm all about the cat ones. They're so cute. You're going to try an A5 cousin for the first time. Yeah, A5. I love A5. I know it's not as portable as other sizes, but my weeks has been fine this year, but I'm going to try to make a custom TN planner insert for 2026. I can't wait to see that, Olive Octopus. That would be awesome. I want to see how people customize and make their own stuff, their own inserts and their own planners and stuff like that. Because, yeah, I find that super interesting and inspiring, right? Because if I can get ideas from different people about how to sort of get my planning system to where I want it to be, then purple square. This is my plotter purple square, and this was amazing at the pen show. So we're going to talk about the pen show and some of the things I took with me, knowing that I couldn't take all of the books and all the things, but there were a few things that I took with me and I found very, very helpful to have. So we are going to talk about stuff like that. I wish TN would put out a yearly version of their weekly because it is almost perfect. Yep, I'm with you. I just purchased the monthly and weekly passport booklets from Sterling Ink. Awesome, Karina. Did you get something for Bart? Oh, hi, Eric. Gamma's in the house. Eric and I and Mai from Paper Treats had amazing burgers on the last night that I was at SF, and it was so good. So thank you for that, friend. GHP, it's going to be interesting to see what Wonderland 222's new paper ends up performing like. Yes. Did they, in the end, sort of talk about what it is or where they got it? Or maybe not where they got it, but what it is? Because, yeah, I don't know what it is either. A5 Slim Rotorfaden has been working out for my planner and personal notes. That's awesome, Olive Octopus. I know you dodged the plotter hype, but you got sucked into Rotorfaden, and I love that because I'm super curious about that system. I dodged that hype, but I'm very, very curious about it, especially because when I saw the Gentleman Stationer put out a TN size, I was like, okay, like different sizes. That might be interesting. So, my goodness, Carla, your stream is bringing out all the heavy hitters, right? I know these are people I saw at SF, so I'm like, yay. That's okay, Karina. I hope you feel better soon. I know. When I got back, honestly, the last week has been a blur of like, I feel like I was in a fog for the first couple of days, just like all the overwhelm, overstimulation, all the things that were happening and everything that I had to take in. The first couple of days back, we're literally like trying to get through a fog of like just, yeah, trying to get back into routine too. A5 is what I need for daily journaling. I tried a TN. Yeah. B6, I know. It's like there's so many different sizes, right? And sometimes things work, right? But you also sort of need something else. Like, for example, my A5, I love it. But portability wise, it's just not something I want to carry around all the time. I don't want to carry it around to pen shows. I don't want to carry it around just to like leave the house. But I do like having, secondary sizes maybe that are more portable. That's where multiple planners and multiple journals come in. If you're one of those people that uses one book for everything, I applaud you because I can't do it. I don't know how to keep everything in one book, but also want to have it on me all the time. If I could afford it, it would be a really tough choice between Plotter and Rotofaden. If we could afford both of those systems, I would definitely do it because they have the best of everything, I think. Square size and odd size for a planner. It is not my planner. But we are going to talk about that. Thinking basically weeks layout, but more checkboxes. Yeah. You didn't get it for Bart? Oh no, I'm going to hear from Bart. Oh no. Bart's like, figure out my planner system. And Karina and I figured out that probably what he needs is a monthly layout. If you're one of those like minimalist planner people, and you just kind of need like just a monthly or just weekly, then yeah, I encourage you to look at options out there that have like booklets or so like TN is a great weekly and monthly. They have great booklets. Sterling Ink, I like that they have booklets that are sort of broken down into what you need. So if you are a minimalist, I would say booklets are kind of, or like a plotter type of system, like rings or something like that, where you can sort of pick and choose what you put in. You want to go back just for the burger, Gamma Gamma. Oh, yeah. You need to go down to the Dallas show, GHP says. Oh, and Jacqueline, if you can come to SF next year, that would be awesome because I need some of those fidget toys, fidget things, fidget goodies. I need one of those noses that you can boop. Karina has one of those and I want one. Just because they're so cool. But also all of the other things. I like naked notebooks and the Rotofaden keeps things more organized. Yeah. I like that Rotofaden has the metal, what do you call those? They sort of keep those notebooks in place, but they're not the bands that TN uses because I can't do the elastic system for TN. What I do with my TNs is I end up putting it in like a folder and inverting it. And then I just slide in two inserts. So one in the front, one in the back, something like that. Like I usually use hacks so that I don't have to put elastics. I'm not an elastic person and I don't like using the TN while it's open. So while an insert is in the cover, I usually take the insert out unless it's sort of like a quick note. But I don't sit there and I just like write in my TN inserts with the cover open. I can't. I forgot we were supposed to get Bart a planner. No, Karina and I talked about it, but I think Karina has to order it now. Miss the lobster roll and soup. The food was good in SF. It was just fewer choices, I think, close to the hotel. So unless you sort of made your way out of the hotel and traveled. Yeah, the fidget toys would sell out. I love my Boop nose. So good. Boop the snoot. I'm going to rant for a second. Okay, I've caught up on chat, everyone. I'm going to rant for a second. Why are pen shows not accessible? Yes, I know, Bailey. There's no way I could have wandered around SF without my wheelchair. Yeah, I know. It is not accessible. I feel like maybe there are pen shows that try to be, or, because they are in hotels and maybe there are options that way. But a lot of these places, a lot of events, stationary events, and also pen shows are very inaccessible, but also they're just so high anxiety inducing. Like I can access things, right? I can walk around, I can deal with crowds. I had my mask on for when I was in crowds because it was getting really busy, and I was starting to feel that anxiety, right? I have general anxiety over being in crowds and things. And so I did have to step away quite a lot because SF was wild. SF was wild. It was just crazy. Pen shows have a lot of room to improve for sure. I 100% agree. 100% agree. Stationary shows too, Jacqueline. Yes. There's an SF Stationary Fest, next March, and it's going to be their first year, and it's the same organizers as the SF Pen Show. So I think it's the last weekend of March. So check that out because it's stationary focused, similar to like Yoseka's event and other stationary events that have been happening. And the reason is because this year at the SF Pen Show, there were a lot of pen vendors, fountain pen related, but there were also stationary vendors. And I think organizers are starting to see that there's, this shift between just having a pen show for pen people versus having a pen show for pen people who are also into accessories and stationery and adjacent type of hobbies, planning, right? And so they're finding that where they need to get a balance between having stationary vendors and having pen vendors, and when does a pen show become a stationary event? And so I think the SF Pen Show organizers are trying to separate it out a little bit. And so it'll be interesting to see how that sort of relates to these, what we kind of need from stationery, right? Like I love pens, but I love stationery and accessories too. So yeah, SF is a lot. You're the same way with large crowds? Yeah. I think if I go back next year, I will do Friday and Sunday and check out the city on Saturday. That's a good idea, Dubes. I think this year I went, so I got there on Thursday night or Thursday evening. I was there Friday and Saturday, and then I took off early Sunday. And I feel like next year, especially taking into account all the things that happened this year, in terms of like crowds and how busy it was, my workshops, I think I might want to stay longer on Sunday at least. Maybe not to check out the show, maybe a little bit in the morning, but more so to have another workshop or to hang out with people or to even just to say bye and kind of close off, conversations that you have during the week or during the weekend. It's kind of nice to see people for, just one more time before you kind of head out. And it felt like it was such a whirlwind of a few days that, it just flew by. It did feel really crowded this year, and accessibility is an issue. Yeah, Karina, definitely, for sure. For sure. You would have been miserable. I mean, you would have had to do what I did and to more extent probably, but step away. You can't take it all in one go. You have to skedaddle. Bye, Gamma Gamma. Thanks for jumping in. It's always good to see you, Eric. I'm so glad I got to meet you in person finally after so long of talking online and stuff. I'm so glad to meet you in person, and other people too, people who I've talked to on Instagram and on stream. And it's so nice to put a face to a name and just kind of have that one-on-one chat, even though I was super exhausted. So yes, if we did have an awkward little exchange and then I just kind of bounced, it's because I was exhausted. But know that I appreciate all pen people, all stationery people, and I loved seeing people. I felt really bad for the dogs that were at the show. There were way too many people for them. Yeah, and I saw, listen, know that, pen shows you want to take your kids to. I took my kids to the Portland Pen Show, right? Because I want to introduce them to, stationery and pens and things like that. I want to share this hobby with them. But I did see, parents trying to get through the aisles with babies and, they're holding them and little kids. And it's kind of like, I hope that they were able to make it through the crowds, but I felt kind of bad because, pen shows are meant to be enjoyed. And if you're focused on how busy it is, how hot it is, because there's so many people and just trying to get to tables, things were sold out, right? Like if you get to a table and the things you want aren't there, it's kind of disappointing. And so I hope people were able to sort of maneuver, but I did see, there were issues. There were issues definitely with the crowds and being able to get through everything. So yes, you have to come to the West Coast, Bailey. I don't know when I'll make it to the East Coast, but I want to try and sort of get to different places next year and the next few years. So we're going to have to plan something. We're going to have to plan. Yeah, the kids. You couldn't imagine bringing the youngest. So let's get into it, right? Let's get into it. All those things that we just talked about, things that happen at a pen show in terms of crowds and just trying to get through. But also meeting our people, like seeing people that we have talked to, and then meeting new friends who are kind of like I met people who are in the Pen Addict Slack who I didn't really get to meet last year. And so this year I kind of made an effort and also prioritized getting to spend time with people, introducing myself, and then also trying to sort of have like conversations, even though sometimes it's awkward and sometimes it's kind of like, I'm really tired, so I'm just going to ask you, what pens did you get? Or, how are you liking this show? And it's kind of like, just trying to spend time with people is nice, but also it's a lot. Overall, it's a lot, right? Especially if you are trying to find things, like specific things. It's kind of like you have to prioritize, but also you have to have a plan of action when you go to a pen show like this, SF, DC, like those big shows where it's like, or like you should expect that it is going to be overwhelming. It is going to be huge. And every year I feel like it gets bigger and bigger at these places. And whether or not they decide to go to a different place next year that has more room, or they may stay at the same hotel or wherever they're having it, because, back end sort of planning, it's one of those things that you kind of have to expect these things, but also kind of plan around them. So I went in knowing that I probably would have to step out, get some fresh air because of all the crowds. But I felt overwhelmed. I still felt, and this was my third year, so I know what to expect at this point. I know what's going to happen. But I still felt overwhelmed, and I still felt, just very highly anxious at times, waiting at a table, and people are sort of looking over your shoulder at things because they're trying to see what's on the table too. So yeah, I definitely felt it. But overall, I had an amazing time. I had a blast. And I can't wait until next year. So if you can make it to SF next year, do try. It is fun. And hopefully with them doing the stationery event in March and sort of breaking it up that way, I hope that alleviates a little bit of the strain on vendors trying to get into the SF Pen Show, and also people just trying to, people were there for pens, but they were also there for stationery. Pinky Elephant was super, super busy. They had a special show edition Kaweco that had a really cute design on it. And so, there were lineups out the door around the corner, and that sort of put some strain on other tables and other vendors as well. It felt more overwhelming this year. Yeah. I missed so much of this year because of that. Exactly. I feel the same way, Karina. I feel like I missed a lot. Just because of there was so much happening. So the Thursday of just seminars, classes, workshops was interesting. Yeah, that was interesting, all of Octopus. Maybe shorter Sunday hours for vendors and more other things on Sunday afternoon for those who can stay. That would be interesting. And I feel like this year they did put a lot more thought and focus on classes and workshops and just like things to sort of do outside of the show. And so they had like Thursday night, like panel discussions, meetups throughout the weekend. What else? Yeah, just like D-stashes and people who wanted to talk just about planners, right? They had a meetup. And I felt like there was a lot more happening at the show. And yeah, I agree. If Sunday could be less show, more sort of like other things for people who, especially if you went Friday and Saturday, it's kind of like, I don't think anything's going to be there on Sunday that I haven't already seen, that I need a full day for, right? Like if I miss stuff on Friday and Saturday, I can probably just spend Sunday morning sort of catching up. And then it would be awesome to like meet with people, hang out before you take off. Because I think a lot of people, if they were there for the weekend, they probably sort of close things off as of Sunday. And even passing tables, I couldn't look for as long as I wanted to, for sure. I know, I agree. And I felt like it's kind of a two-parter. Like one, I felt like if I went to a table and it was super busy, sometimes it was because people were buying things, and other times it was because people were just browsing, right? So they're kind of standing at the table looking at stuff, and I'm behind them going, I just need to buy like one thing. I just need to buy this and move on. Like, let me pay. And so that part was a little frustrating. I get it. I totally get it. And it is the nature of these live events and these live shows. But at the same time, I was kind of like, you know, if you're one of those people who wants to stand at a table and just browse, I felt the pressure, like when I was doing that, I felt the pressure of like I got to make a decision, or I got to step away from the table so other people can see, right? So, Fountain Pen News, how's it going? Welcome. We're just talking show. We're just talking about the SF show and shows in general. So, if you want to dive in, they need to accept moving towards more of a con model where the things to do are either on the floor or marketplace, help balance out the crowds. Yeah. Make it more of a destination event than a traditional sales event. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, GHP. That makes a lot of sense. So I was there. I got there Thursday. I had to pick up some things for my workshop, which was on Friday morning. I had 9 a.m. Friday, first workshop. And so I had to pick up materials on Thursday night. And then I also met up with people, Karina and other people, for dinner, which was really, really nice. So that sort of took care of that. And also just if you were curious, travel between Canada and the US, I was kind of nervous border crossing, just because I've heard things. But it turned out to be super easy, very simple, nice customs officer who did not know what a pen show was. And so I had to kind of explain what the point of a pen show is. And I feel like the more we do it, maybe they'll kind of start to understand stationary events and pen shows. But yeah, so that was fine. I got in and then saw people. And then Friday morning, 9 a.m., I had my first workshop. So I was teaching 2 workshops. One was my abstract floral art, which I also taught last year. So this was my second year. Hopefully it was better because, I like to improve myself. I like to improve my workshops and how helpful and useful I can be. And so I took some like reflecting on last year. I tried to make my workshop a little bit better this year and more fun, so hopefully it was. I was planning to go to the London Pen Show, but forgot about it when I started my new job. Oh no, now you can't get the weekend off. Oh no. Well, I hope that you can catch another event or another similar show. But yeah, definitely. The London Pen Show I've heard is really, really good. As is the Dutch Pen Show I've heard. So that's on my list for one of these years. Yeah, so my first workshop went really well. We did just abstract floral art. So we painted with fountain pen inks and then we drew on top. It was a smaller class on Friday. Because it was at 9 a.m., I feel like, you sort of get less people coming to the show first thing. And also people who were at the show first thing were probably there to get in with their VIP early access at 9 a.m. And so it was kind of one of those things like, are people not taking the workshop because they're trying to get to the show? Probably. But the alternative is you could take workshops or other things, and that's kind of fun, right? So we did that. We got to play with some Ferris wheel press inks, which I found really, really pretty. We had a shimmer ink in there, and yeah, so we played with that, did some warm-ups and talked through technique and tips on how to just kind of go with the creative flow, let go, and let your intuition sort of guide you versus, being very focused on what that end product is going to look like or what that end art is going to look like. And I hope that it sort of got people into the mindset of sort of just being creative. You're at a pen show, so, you're going to be surrounded by all of these supplies, all of the stationery. And I hope that, when people sort of go to these shows, they're also very open-minded about trying new things. And if something speaks to you, just really, kind of going with it and trying it out. It's 2 days this time for the first time. Oh, awesome. So it was 1 day before. I feel like some of these shows, I feel like the London Pen Show would be kind of big. But some of these pen shows where it's 1 day, it's because they're like small or it's a space limitation, depending on where they're doing it. Maybe they can only get 1 day. And sometimes they're also free. So it's kind of one of those like, you just go check it out. But I love when it's multi-day, especially if you're traveling there, right? Sort of make it worth your time being there and then seeing people for more than a day. I'm thinking of flying to Denver. Instead of flying, I think the driving will be too much. Yeah, the driving might be too much. How long is it? How long of a drive is it? I would love to take your class in person. I would love to have you, Bailey. I would love to have all of you. And that's partly why I started streaming, actually. I started streaming, or no, I didn't start streaming, but I really thought seriously about streaming on Twitch after I taught my workshops at SF last year. Just because I love encouraging people, and I love seeing people genuinely look at their art that they created and be surprised that they were able to do that. And it's not so much that like, it has to look perfect and it has to look like art or whatever. It's more so that we're all creative. And I love bringing that out in people. And I love seeing them be happy just by what they've done. And so that's why I wanted to start streaming after I taught last year. And yeah, so I try and do some art on my streams. If this is your first time joining me, today I'm just talking about the San Francisco Pen Show recap, the things I saw, the things I got. I didn't get a lot, but we'll talk about haul. We're going to talk a little bit about planners because it's planner season. I want to talk a little bit about the planners that I'm going to be using, what I've used this year, just in general, because I will do a more detailed YouTube video in the coming weeks, maybe months. But yeah, but generally I like to do streams, and do something artsy, do something creative, play with inks, play with paint, do some watercolor painting, do some line drawing, things like that. So today is not so artsy, but usually it will be. And also just a life update. My kids are back in school. So the last couple of months, July and August, I have 2 kids, twins. They were at home, and so I'm their like primary during the day, and so they were always around, which is so fun. They're at an age where they're starting to sort of get into pens and stationery. They have fountain pens, right? They have inks, they have ink bottles. And so it's been really, really fun playing with stationery with them. But I haven't been able to stream, and I haven't been able to sort of do the things that I want to do for me. And so in that way, it's kind of been tough. But they are in school. And so that's why I have more time now to do sort of those creative projects and to stream. And so I'm going to try and get back to my weekly Wednesday morning streams on Twitch. So next week, I'll post a reminder on Instagram, but yeah, that's my hope, is just to get back to those weekly Wednesday streams, and we'll do art and we'll talk stationery and we'll do all of the fun things. And I love chatting about that. So definitely throw things into the chat if you want to talk about it. It's fairly big in London. Yeah. They've got workshop this time around too. That's awesome. I love the whole like sort of vibe between a pen show and workshops and meetups and hangouts. I like how more pen shows are doing that. I feel like the California Pen Show has room to grow in that area as well. I know last year was sort of their first year of new location, new organizers. And then this year they had a few more workshops, which was really nice. I got to take the sigils workshop with Anna from the Well Appointed Desk, and that was really, really fun. And I hope that next year they sort of build on that. And even if it's just like seminars or panels where people kind of talk about their experience with pens and stationery and stuff, I think that would be really interesting to attend, especially if you're attending like for the first time, or you don't get to go out to pen shows, depending on where you are. It's like, if you do, then to make the most of it, it would be nice to have sort of these little things to sit in on. 14 hours drive to Denver, that's long. I surprised myself in your class, all of Octopus. I'm so glad you were there. I know, and Brad surprised himself. It was such a good class. It was so much fun for me. Just to see everyone else be creative and like really, push themselves in terms of like expecting to draw, I can't draw flowers, I can't paint, I can't do this, I can't do that. And then in the end, it's like, but you did, right? And you did, and it came out lovely, and you can do it again. I'm a fan of your ink paintings and all of your art, all of Octopus. So, hi, Spicy, how's it going? Did you get Brad's photo yet? And where did you put it? Your kids went back on Tuesday, Bailey? Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Brian is on a 24-hour run for his streams. I love that we rated Brian Anderson's stream this morning with all of Octopus. And I guess he's still there, but not there. He just left his stream up. I know, it happens. We do things. School couldn't come fast enough. Yeah, so lovely to have kids back in school, right? We have time to play again. We have time to hang out. We have free time. I know. I have a friend that became a parent. He loves it when his kids go to school. Yeah, I know. As much as we love spending time with our kids, and, we get to play with them too. And I love that. My kids reminded me that it's okay to use up your inks, right? Just to have fun. And I was kind of like, I'm the one who paints with inks, and yet I was telling them to be like, whoa, like, don't use that much ink. But they were like, oh, well, we'll get more. No, I'll get them more, but and so they kind of reminded me of that, just like, yeah, we can get more supplies. We can get more inks if we wanted to. But it doesn't, there's nothing to trade for the fun, the joy, the enjoyment we get out of playing with our stuff, with our stationery. So it's always a good reminder. But when they go to school and when they're like out of the house, it's like, I really want to take your class. Dubes, I'd love to have you in my class. I don't know if I'm going to be going to the California Pen Show next year, just because I want to go to different shows and try, like, I think I want to go to the SF stationery event in March. And so that will kind of replace the California Pen Show. They also haven't asked me to teach at their pen show, so if a pen show asks, or if I know someone who's organizing the workshops at pen shows and I can get to the pen show, then there's an opportunity there. But at the same time, I'm also sort of waiting for the California Pen Show and some of the smaller pen shows to sort of build up their workshop, their workshop offering. But I'd love to do workshops at other pen shows, other stationery events. I'd love to I just love to be, it doesn't have to be the same sort of workshop, but it could be like a panel, it could be a discussion, it could be, a 101 kind of thing too, just to get newbie people, people who are new to fountain pens or stationery, whatever it is, to get them more excited about using that stuff. I love sort of being the person to encourage and help. If I can share, and this is why I love doing YouTube videos too, and streams, because if I can share how I use my stuff and then also see how other people are using their stuff, this is the kind of thing I love sharing and finding out more about. Is how can we make the most out of the supplies that we have, right? Especially if we're going to pen shows and we're buying things, how do we use them to the best of what we need them for and what they're made for? What's the purpose of, all the things? Yeah, plan with Shell. I love summer and having time with them, but by the middle of August, I'm ready for school. By the middle of July, I was ready for school. I was like, please. Especially when I was trying to do live streams. If you joined any of my random sort of chaotic live streams where I had to I was like, I'll be right back. I got to deal with this. Someone needs food or something, I had a work call and missed some of the convo. That's okay, Paw Pal Gal. It was so good to meet you in person, friend. Just wanted to put that out there. It's in the Belgium customs. I'm waiting now. Oh, I see. Maybe Spicy, they're holding on to Brad's photo just a little bit longer. Wait until they start driving. My daughter just got her learners. Karina, I feel for you. I feel for you. Yeah, that's adult stuff. They're adulting now, right? Oh, thanks. Corolla's classes are a blast. Corolla, go to Yoseka Stationery Fest. You should have a class there. Hey, if I can get a class at Yoseka Stationery Fest, I think I would be there. I think I would definitely go so fast. I would love to be there. I'll catch your class at some point. Yeah, Dubes. When I figure out what I'm doing next year and where I can go, I'll definitely share that. And if that works out, then that would be amazing. I want to teach intro to flex. Yeah, that would be awesome, fountain pen use. You are a flex master. You know all the things about flex. I would love to learn more about that. I do a little bit of flex, but not as much as you, for sure. I'm glad we have Twitch for this kind of thing. Oh, 100% Olive. I agree. Twitch is awesome. Twitch is awesome. So the one thing I didn't do at the show that I wish I had time for is more video. I wish I had more time to document things video-wise. I took some photos, but, I could always take more photos, especially with people and at dinner and, just hanging out and stuff. I always forgot. The other thing is I was really hoping that I would have time to do an Instagram live or, some sort of live stream from the show. That didn't happen, of course. I had my doubts that it would happen, but I was like, maybe I could have some time to do a walkthrough or even just a quick sort of check in and does anyone want to see something? And maybe that's kind of a goal for next year. But oh man, it was so overwhelming. And I had my workshops and they were kind of I had one from in the morning on Friday, and then I had another one on Saturday morning, same time, 9 to 11. And then I had a third workshop on Saturday around lunchtime, and it was a joint workshop with Cheryl from Rickshaw. If you know Cheryl, she's amazing. She's such a nice, kind person. And she's been to these shows quite a bit. So her experience and just like the way that she handles shows and approaches them is super, super helpful. And so I did a joint workshop with her. She does solo workshops on bookbinding, and they are super fun. And last year, when she did her bookbinding class, we found that there were a few people who went to her class, made a book or, a sketchbook type of thing, and then came to my class and used their sketchbook to paint and draw in. And so later they showed it to us and they were like, look, I took your class. And so Cheryl and I were kind of like, oh, well, why don't we do a joint class where she teaches how to sort of fold a sketchbook, put it together, and then I can teach how to draw some flowers in them. And so we tried that for the first time, and Pop Pal Gal was in it, which was amazing. Quite a few people were in it, and I hope that it was fun. I hope that it was sort of like it made sense to have, sort of building a sketchbook and then filling it with drawings. I definitely have learnings, obviously, on how I can improve my piece of it for next year to have it flow a little bit more easy and, to have it be more fun too. But I thought overall it was a really good workshop for like just sort of combining two sets of creativity, like, skills and also what we do as artists and creative people. And so, I found that really interesting and really fun. But the drawback was because I was only there Friday and Saturday for the show, having those bulk sort of workshops in there cost me time. Like I didn't have as much time to check out the show. And when I did, so on Friday, I missed the 2 hours since like after the doors were open to early access. And so it's fine. Like I didn't have anything on my wish list or planned on buying anything that was like super, super, hard to get. Maybe a glass tip pen, but it's fine. I have a glass tip pen. But the one thing I did want was plotter diary refills for next year, which I got because for the California Pen Show, to get the purple, to get the square purple, it was like a show exclusive. I literally ran to their table as soon as the doors opened. I was like, I need my purple square. And it's kind of a running joke with Karina, my purple square. But this year I know they had show exclusive covers and I did not need another cover and I didn't get one, but I did need the diary refills. And I know I can order it. They have it online now. You can go to Atlas Stationers. You could go to Plotter USA. And I think a few other places have it, but I didn't want to pay shipping from the US and who knows what other costs, right? So that was me. I was running to the plotter table after my workshop, just wanting to get the diary refills. So I got that. Things I got. These are the things I got from Plotter. I was good. I did not get a cover, even though I was so tempted to get the green Horween cover. It was so nice, but I didn't. I got the schedule, monthly, weekly, and then I got a mini 5, which, if you don't know, the mini 5 fits in the square. If you're like me and you happen to have a square, it fits the square, which is kind of cool. So that's what I got for my square for next year. And my plan is, if we're going to dive into planners for next year, my plan is to use this for hobbies tracking. So my square is more of like a hobbies journal where I capture and document all things fountain pens. I love reading, and so it's sort of a place where I can take notes, like a book companion of sorts. But I love using a monthly calendar to track when I start a book, when I finish a book. I also like sort of tracking like new pens, new inks, things like that. So that's kind of where what I'm going to do with the monthly. And the cool thing is the inserts that come for the square, like this one, for example, is like just the graph paper. And what they actually include are these little arrows. And if you fold along that arrow line, it actually fits a mini 5. So if you have a mini 5 or a square, those inserts tend to sort of work together a little bit. So that's what I had to get. I got it. It was super busy, and I was scared that the diary refills would be sold out, and I really wanted them. So that square purple looks awesome. I know, purple squares mood. It is so pretty. I'm still so in love with it. I got it in California, not knowing what I would use it for, because like square is just an odd shape, right? Like it's such an odd sort of, like, do you use it as a planner or a notebook? And so I started using it as more like as a notebook. But I found it super helpful because I took it to the SF Pen Show, and Karina can attest, I was carrying this around everywhere. Just because I could flip it open, and I was using it as sort of a way to document inks, and when people had their fountain pens that I could sample, like Eric, Gamma Gamma, then I could just like pull this out and just kind of write on it. The paper, which is DP, it's design fill paper. It's fountain pen friendly, and you can even do a little bit of an ink wash on it, so like swatching and stuff. It tends to handle it pretty well. So I do really like this paper. And so I got 2 nib grinds, which we'll talk about, from Kirk at Pen Realm. And so it was kind of just nice. I tried the artist nib by Lucas from Hanabi Studio. And yeah, I kind of took a look at, because Lucas was customizing glass dip pen nibs. So if someone bought like a broad nib and wanted like sort of line variations, totally me. He has this artist nib, and so I saw him actually do it for someone, and I was super tempted. But by the time I got even to his table, they were the more expensive glass dip pens, and I didn't budget for that. So I was like, maybe next year or next time. Luke's table in Chicago. Yeah, Bailey, if Luke ever came to the West Coast, I would be there. My wish list is pretty small these days. It was very overwhelming filming for sure. I could barely get any. Yeah, Karina, I'm just surprised you got anything at all. And then you were able to post a YouTube video. I was just so like coming back. I was like, I have to get my mind around these things. This is the first time I'm actually like recapping and looking at the things that I got and my experience. So you guys are hearing it for the first time, which is why I'm kind of like all over the place. But we're in it together. Oh, quack, quack, Dustin. Dustin, also one of my faves. Dustin is great to hang out with, especially because I saw Dustin talking to a few people, but one was Ian from Shown Design, and I was like, I really want to meet Ian, but you meet people at the table, and it's kind of like a passing, like, hi, hello, you're this person, cool, but they tend to sort of, forget, or it's kind of awkward later when you're like, hey, I met you. So I saw Dustin talk to Ian, and I was like, I need to go over and just kind of like chill. So that's another way of doing it when you're at a pen show or an event, and you feel kind of like, I don't know, you're just like, I feel awkward just walking up to people and be like, I know who you are. You probably don't know me, but we're just going to have a conversation, which I could do with Olive Octopus, but other people I'm kind of like, ugh. So it helps. It helps, when there's someone there that can kind of break the ice a little bit. And so Dustin, you were that person for me. I was like, hi. Also, Ian, hi. Hi, Ethrak. How's it going? I'm just going back in comments because I was talking. But it's good to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're just talking pen show and planners. So if you have anything that you want to get out there, definitely throw it in the chat. I love seeing Curla karate chop her way to get to the plotter table. Listen, if you are in my way and I'm on my way to the plotter table, you better move out of my way. I'm just kidding. But I was walking really fast. I was speed walking to that table. I got there. Yeah, and I was like, Job, I just need to... No, I think it was Jessica, actually. I was like, Jessica, I just need to check out with these monthly diary things and weekly diary refills. It's the only thing I need. Don't talk to me about the covers. Don't talk to April about covers because you are going to walk away with the cover. That's my strategy. Because April just takes out her covers and she's like, hey, have you seen... That's how I ended up with a purple square, actually. After hours was my favorite part. Yeah, it is such a good time. It's really hard. Like, I know a lot of people who weren't able to make it out after hours or after the show was done. And a lot of us were sort of hanging out at the adjoining hotel because that's where the bar and the lounge area was. And a lot of people couldn't make it out because it was so tiring, especially if you're a vendor. Like I taught 3 workshops and I was exhausted. So I don't know how vendors do it, especially if you're coming in on a Thursday and you're setting up. You have all day Friday, all day Saturday, Sunday too maybe. And I don't know. I don't know how they do it. They make time for food sometimes, and so I tried to go around with snacks. I had coffee crisp chocolates. I was like, here's a piece of Canada. Have some food, have some sugar. Even though that's not good for you, But it's just like sort of have a quick pick me up and then make sure you have food because I don't know how vendors were doing it. So I totally get it. If you weren't able to, or if people weren't able to do the after hours hangouts, it's a lot. It's a lot. Even if you want to, it's so much. This is why I don't know why I want a Hobonichi. Plotter works so well for me. Plan with Shell. I'm just going to keep talking about how great Plotter works for me. So if you don't want to hear about it, let me know because now I wish I could have purchased a Plotter. I'm sorry for Plotter enabling you. But yeah. I haven't been able to touch anything I purchased. Yeah, sometimes you need to leave things for a few days, especially if you're busy, but you kind of have to leave it a little bit and then come back to it because it's a lot. It's kind of nice to also revisit, right? Like what you bought and also just like reflect on your time. Like I still haven't really sat down and gone through all of I'll show you. I have a little drawer. There's Paw Pal Gal. But like, I have stickers, like just from like what people gave me and stuff. I exchanged stickers, which was really nice. Julia, who I met also for the first time in person, we exchanged some stickers and hung out for a little bit. So that was really good. And seeing friends and stuff. But yeah, I have to go through all of the stickers and actually like collage, right? Like do a reflection and collage and journal about it. And I feel like I need a little bit of time between experiencing and reflecting, just to get my thoughts sort of straight in terms of like, well, what does this, what did I walk away with? What was meaningful, and what were like actual highlights of the event versus walking away and just being like, I was overwhelmed, which I was, but like that wasn't the point of the show, right? Like I knew I would be overwhelmed, but I walked away with so many memories that mean so much to me. So if you were part of those memories, thank you. But also if I didn't get a chance to see you, or the other thing I forgot to do aside from taking video footage was hand out my stickers. Like I knew I wanted to, and I was going to hand out stickers, especially because it's such a great icebreaker, right? You kind of like just, hey, you want a sticker? Kind of how Olive Octopus says like, hey, you want ink swatches? And you're like, yes, I do. Let's talk about it. I had stickers and I didn't give it out as much as I wanted to. So that's another thing I have to think about for next time. Is have those stickers accessible to give out, right? Elbowing Corolla. Elbows up. That's what I do. When you're short, you need to use elbows. Yeah. Aside from like standing on my toes to like see the tables, right? I had to sort of kind of like maneuver. I had to maneuver. Let's call it that. I had to maneuver to make my way to different places. So many of my notebooks and planners aren't fountain pen friendly. You do need to fix that. Now that you know, you know. There you are. Yeah. It was such a good time. My journal post for Saturday is just pictures and a few lines of highlights. Yeah. Mine was, okay, so what I ended up taking with me, sorry about the shake. What I ended up taking with me was purple square, right? And I set it up so that I knew that I had paper for like stamping and writing in and stuff. And then I also took my weeks, which is great for portability, right? Like I just sort of threw it in my bag, and I planned out, or I had my nib appointment, I had my workshop times, all those things that like I needed to be there for, obviously. I had those in there, and then I also had like wish list items and things. But then in the notes section, what I did was I just jotted down, like I did rapid log journaling throughout the day. So when I had a few minutes, or when I was back in my room, I would take this out, sit down, and then just like rapid log everything that happened. People I saw, people I met, because I'm bad with names. So it's like, if I met you and I was like, well, you know, if you introduce yourself, I have to write those things down. I have to be like, I remember faces, but names are tough sometimes. Especially if it's not your username. I feel like I can remember usernames so much easier than I can real names. So, so I would like quickly sort of jot these notes down, and that's kind of what I have. And so when I sit down to sort of, you know, journal about my, the show and add photos and stickers and stuff like that, I'll refer back to my sort of chicken scratch notes on like who I met, who I saw, because it was, you know, you meet people and then over time you kind of forget, and you have to jog your memory a little bit, right? You're always open to suggestions. Yep. I totally elbowed my way to the rickshaw table to grab a bag. Yes, I love that bag that you got, by the way. You got you purple squared it across the room. Yeah. Purple square is now a verb. It's an action. It's something you do. You purple square. Yeah, send pictures of people that you took. Yeah, we now need to refer to as purple square. So the other things I got. Let's go into my haul because it's actually kind of small, and then we'll talk about planners for a little bit. My haul was plotter. I already showed you my diary refills. After I went to the plotter table, my next stop was Yamamoto Papers. And that was intentional because I knew that they had the new Canopus notebook and Canopus paper. And the word on the street is that this is the new sort of Cosmo Air Light. And similar to it, but not it's not similar as well. So I haven't had the chance to test it out, but just from feeling it. And I have a Cosmo Air Light notebook from Galen Leather that I got a couple years back. And I remember like that Cosmo Air Light, when I use it, and I only use it for painting because I don't really like writing in it. And it's because it's like a shiny, squeaky texture to me. So when I use it, I feel like the paper is like a shiny surface. And so when I'm writing or painting, depending on how I'm using it, sometimes I feel like it's like a squeaky vibe, a squeaky sound to it. And Canopus right now, as I feel it, has less of that. It still feels a little sort of shiny, like a shiny coating, but it doesn't feel as slippery, or you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to throw all these descriptor words out, and if any of those make sense, let me know. But it does feel different than Cosmo Air Light, and I know it's sort of Yamamoto Papers version or their formula of the next sort of iteration of paper. And I always find it fun and interesting to try out new paper that's coming out, just to compare to older paper, or paper that, like, Cosmo Air Light is going away, right? So we are looking for replacements or alternatives. And it's kind of fun to see what's out there, and like what printing companies and paper companies and manufacturers are coming out with as sort of the alternative. And so I'm looking forward to testing this out, and maybe we'll do it on stream, but I also kind of want to do like a detailed YouTube video about it. So do look out for that. But if you do have one, or you've been able to test it, let me know what you think. And have you tried Cosmo Air Light? Like, is that one of your... do you like that paper? Like, are you looking for an alternative for it too? I described Cosmo Air Light as spongy. Yes, spongy is actually a good word too. Yes, I'm wondering how Canopus is. Yeah. So I had to beeline to get this, because when I got to the table 2 hours after the show opened for early access, not even for general access, there were like 3 notebooks left. And I was like, I'm going to grab one. I don't care what it's like. I'm just going to grab one. So I had to do that. I'm waiting for the loose leaf A4 Canopus to hit wider availability. I saw that there, I think, because Yamamoto Papers does have loose leaf sort of bundles of things. And I'm pretty sure I did see Canopus. But then I thought I'll just get the notebook and I'll just test it and see how it is. But definitely, I would love to see it out there and get other people's takes on it as well. Have a good one, dudes. I'll see you next time. It was great to chat and catch up. I love collecting paper. I do too, Fountain Pen News. I love paper so much. I'm a very like tactile person. And I love using analog tools, right? Like, I don't have a digital calendar. I don't use a digital planner at all. And so, you know, the more notebooks and planners and things that I have and can use comfortably, even to do art in, right? Like, I love to sort of experiment with inks and stuff like that. So the more I have, the more I like to sort of be in the know of like what's good and what's out there. I purchased a few from the Paper Mind. One is Cosmo Air Light paper and the other is Dandelion. I don't think I've heard of that. Especially vintage stuff. I don't mind Cosmo, but I can't stand the hand oil issue. Yes, I have heard of that as well. The hand oils. And that is totally a thing. But also, this is why I throw plotter paper. Also, blotter papers in everything. Like, I will literally throw a blotter paper in all of my notebooks all the time. And it's great to write on, especially if you're using paper that feels spongy or shiny or, slippery. I kind of like having paper, like a blotter paper or some sort of sheet under my hand, just so I don't have to feel that texture as I'm writing. I know it sounds kind of weird, but we're tactile people, I think, right? Time to head out. Bye, GHP. It was so good to see you. I'll see you in other streams, though. Yes, have a good rest of day. I should have grabbed the Canopus when I had the chance. Maybe I'll test it out. And I think I've heard good things about it, generally. But maybe I'll test it out and be like, maybe it's not for me, right? Like, you never know. But yeah, I did want to grab the papers that have kind of been, talked about, just to make sure that I test them out too. Especially because, when you see people testing out paper, a lot of times they're testing fountain pens, which makes sense. It says, pen-friendly paper. And so you're kind of expecting that it'll be good for fountain pens or dip pens with fountain pen ink. But I like testing them out for just like how far you can take it with swatching and painting, and what the ink will look like when you're painting with it. Like, is it actually reflecting what the ink color is? Or is the paper sort of reflecting different properties or different colors. And sometimes that happens, right? It depends on the paper formula too, how it reacts to different ink colors. And so I kind of like seeing that on a larger scale, especially like painting with it and swatching. So I'll definitely do that. Jet Pens has some in stock. That's awesome. So I got Canopus, and I also had to pick up TRP Tomoegawa. This is just the nicest paper. This is always going to be, legendary, regardless of how Canopus performs. I'm always going to be a TRP person, but I'm always open to other papers. So Life is another one. Yeah. So I got this from the Hachimonjiya table. Picked up the Life notebook. I like the big grids. I like the paper as well. And I love this sort of like notebook style. So I think this would be a great notebook to have. So I went to the Hachimonjiya table pretty much after I did the plotter. I did Yamamoto. And I sort of did a walk around. And that's when I kind of went into there were different rooms. Super packed, really busy. And then there was sort of like the main ballroom, which, to be honest, if you were at the SF Pen Show, I only went in there like a couple of times because it was so overwhelming in terms of setup and trying to maneuver through it that I was like, I'm just going to stick around on the outside and go to the smaller rooms. And that's kind of where the vendors were that I really wanted to see, that flew over either, from Japan or Taiwan or other places. And then also, the makers and friends, and nib specialists too. There was that nib alley of, all the nib specialists. And so I made sure that I sort of got to visit those different areas as well. So from Hachimonjiya, I got this notebook, and then I got 2 inks as well. So I think for me, I would sort of summarize my SF Pen Show haul as paper and ink. And then I got 2 nib grinds. And so the ink that I picked up, one is Ginsen Snow Gray, and the other one is it's a collab ink with Eric Smallthings. And Eric was a workshop instructor at last year's SF Pen Show, and so she was there and didn't make it out this year, but I love all things Eric because they're so cute. So these are the 2 ink bottles. Really, really cute. Turns out I was really into the blue-gray, and also just blue. So I walked away with 3 inks in total. The Pen Show, the SF Pen Show ink for this year by Colorverse was called San Francisco Fog. So I had to get that. So yeah, you can see my inks were very blue in nature. And I'll show you swatches that I did if you're interested. So Hachimonjiya Ginsen Snow Gray, and this one with Eric is called Goodnight Blue. And then Colorverse and San Francisco Pen Show called San Francisco Fog. And yeah, so, really nice shades. I think they're very like mellow. And yeah, like a blue-gray sort of feel to them. So up my alley. Really love these types of shades. Just for like everyday writing and just like, yeah, having them. I like these types of shades. I also really like Campus Marm Bailey with all the paper recommendations. Thank you. Midori is great if you don't mind cream paper. I love Midori paper, but it is for specific purposes, I think. As an everyday sort of paper, you have to be a cream person. You have to be into cream paper. But if you're into white paper, also I think for me it depends on what fountain pen inks I'm using, I think. Sometimes they look really good on cream paper, and sometimes they look really good on white paper. They'll stand out more, they'll be more vibrant. So I think it sort of depends in that way too. I love blue grays. I wish I got the pen show ink. Yeah, I had to make sure I got that because they only offered it, as far as I know, certain times. And it was sort of, outside of the show at a table. And yeah, so I happened to walk by as they were like, they had them out on the table. And I was like, I need one. So now I have this year's and the past 2 years. It's kind of a collection. But yeah, I had to make sure I got that because it's really, really pretty. Hi, Bye Apple Tater. How's it going? It was really nice to meet you, even though we didn't get to chat too much. And I think Bye Apple Tater was one of those people that caught me at a moment where I was like super exhausted because I had finished a workshop and I was like, I'm so tired. So I'm sorry if we didn't get to have a more sort of meaningful conversation. But it was still really nice to meet you and put a face to a username again. I hope you had fun, and I hope you enjoyed your your pen show experience, because as we've been kind of chatting, it was overwhelming and it was a lot. And I think those of us who did go had different ways of dealing with it and different sort of experience. Well, I guess not different experiences, but like different takes on them too. What's your favorite blue gray? That's a great question. By the time I got to the Ilafar, I was completely peopled out. Okay, good. Good. I felt bad after. I was like, I didn't even really talk. I'm sorry. But we got to say hi. And that's kind of the basis of it, right? Like, the next time we meet and we see each other, it'll be like, okay, we can talk. You have to go battle insurance company. Okay, good luck, Fountain Pen News. You got this. Yeah, I agree. Okay, what are my favorite blue grays? It's not that much of a blue gray, but I do love Robert Oster Chicago. That's one of my favorites right now, actually, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I'm just gonna flip through. I'm doing this. I'm gonna flip through. There are some good shades, I think. Also curious to hear what other people think. But blue grays are such a good vibe. Let's see. That's kind of it for my blues. Chicago is great. Yeah, I do love that. I love it. It's such a great shade. Okay, so that was kind of my haul. Oh, the only other thing I really got was I went to the Van Ness table and I picked up a few of these 2 Irreful paper inserts for Bible size. And so this one is just plain and this one is dot grid. And then I got Da Vinci cream paper. So just to throw in a Bible size. But I'm also curious about Irreful because it's new to me. So I want to try this out and see how it feels and how it handles inks and things. As one does. How do they handle inks? So I think that's it in terms of haul that I bought. I did get 2 grinds from Kirk. So So I took 2 double broad nibs to Kirk, and I knew I wanted katana because I am a huge fan of the naginata type of grind. So any variation of that kind of grind that gives me different line widths depending on the angle that I'm holding the pen, I am all for it. So I love that, you know, the lower angle that you hold a pen. So when I'm doing like stream of consciousness type of writing, or I'm just getting my thoughts out, it doesn't have to look pretty. I tend to use a cursive type of script. And so I hold my pen at a lower angle. And I love that it gives me a broader line when I do that. And then when I'm writing notes, or I sort of need to print and I need it to be legible so I can reread it, then I tend to hold it at a higher angle. And so at a higher angle, this grind gives you a bit of it gives you a little bit of a finer line width. And so as the higher you hold your pen, the thinner your line will be. So that's the basic sort of katana vibe. And so I wanted to get that on my SD nib because I had a double broad. And as much as I like juicy nibs, I just kind of wanted to do something fun with it. So that's what I got for my SD. And my second grind from Kirk, this is the Franklin Christoph 46 model, which I don't think they make anymore, but it's really, really nice and very pretty material. So I had a double broad San Francisco, I don't know if you can see it, San Francisco engraved nib from last year. And this was an engraved nib that Kirk at Pen Realm had last year. And so I got a double broad, but I didn't do anything with it. I was just like, I just want the nib because it looks really pretty. And so I took it back to him this year and got him to grind a monoline. So on the correct side of writing, it's a monoline. Double broad, so it's very juicy. It will give you like just the juiciest line. And on the reverse, it's a cursive italic. And so it's a thinner line. And you can also use it. The reason why I love this grind so much is because with one nib, I get this like really juicy, just a monoline font. And then if I want to add sort of a second line of something, or I just want to use a thinner sort of nib grind, I could just turn it to the reverse and get a cursive italic. So I thought that was really, really cool. I wanted the monoline because I tried it out and I really like it. So I wanted that. But then I kind of went, what can you do on the reverse that might be fun? And Kirk was like, ooh, a cursive italic. And I was like, yes, that is me. I want that. Yes, and then Karina and Bart from Zodiac Pens had a collab pen that they launched, released at the SF Pen Show. It's so pretty. If you haven't seen it, check out Karina's Instagram or Bart's, and you'll see it. It's a sea glass kaleidoscope. It is so pretty. It was really nice to see these things in person too, because sometimes, like, depending on the material, sometimes you kind of have to see it in person to see like the different ways those colors play together. And this was one of those like kaleidoscope sort of material. He was out of the 2025 nibs by the time. Yeah, Kirk runs out of those nibs pretty fast, I think. Just because like most people, if they want the engraved nib, they'll go right away and get it. And it's a great way, like I've mentioned this before, but I really do love the commemorative nibs that Kirk does for pen shows, because if you're sort of newish to getting custom grinds, getting one of Kirk's nibs and then getting him to grind it to something that you like, that you'll use, is a great way of sort of commemorating that show. You'll always remember it, right? Because you have the engraved nib, and then you can always throw it into a pen that takes that nib. So it's always going to be special. Wait, I forgot. You could write with a reverse side. Yes, you could get a reverse grind, and I am so into it. I'm so into doing reverse grinds now. I love, party in the back type of situation. Yes, the material can differ. I love that too. And also, if you get to see it in person, you can pick out what you like, right? Bart has pre-orders for Sea Glass Kaleidoscope up on his site. Go check it out if you wanted it. Or if you just want to see it. Go check it out, because it's super, super special. Two amazing people collabing on a pen is always good. And I feel like Karina is one of those people that just has great taste, right? Like, she just knows colors that go together, especially when it comes to pens. So yeah, it's a really, really pretty pen for sure. So I have that. What else? What else do I want to talk about? Stationery D-stash. I did go to, it's called Cozy Stationers Club, Cozy Stationery Club, maybe. I think they're based out of Chicago, I think, right? I don't know. I should have written all this stuff down. But they had a D-stash, and it was really, really nice to like meet sort of those people who are like into stationery, accessories, planners. Like, I got to talk to people about paper and like stickers and stuff. And so they had a D-stash, right? Like, people brought a bunch of things to just put out, and you could take whatever you want. So I ended up grabbing a bunch of stickers and like a couple of notebooks and some like ballpoint pens, mostly for my girls, mostly for my kids, because it was a great way. Like, I didn't have to spend a ton of money buying them things at the show, which they had a wish list. Let me tell you, my kids wanted ink bottles, they wanted pens, they wanted notebooks. And so it really helped to go to this D-stash and just like, get a few things that my kids would love and enjoy and give new life to. And that's what I love about D-stashes, is sometimes we have things just accumulate and sit there. And even though like, we're not going to toss them, but if we can give them new life through someone who is experiencing them for the first time, I know that always brings me joy. So and I feel like a lot of people feel the same in the community, where they kind of know anyone who's going to use it will get joy out of using them. And that's kind of a nice way of sharing in the community. Cozy Stationery Club. Thank you. Yes. Yes. So many good people, so many fun and kind people there at the D-stash. That was really fun. I had to have it. Truly is such a beautiful pen. Yes, I agree. I'm glad you got that pen, Papa Gal. Such a good pen. Such a nice pen. Your haul was really good too. I want a Cozy Stationery Club. Bailey, yes! I want a Cozy Stationery Club too. It's like cozy vibes, right? We all need it in our locations. We all need our own versions of a Cozy Stationery Club. You made out like a bandit for your girls at that D-stash? Shh! Don't tell them. I did, though. I did. No, I told my kids. They were from, like, other people who wanted to gift them things. I didn't tell them that I just took them from a D-stash. No, it was really nice. I did get stickers, actually, from people who wanted to give my kids things. Bart being one of them. Bart just, like, hands them stickers. So he gave me some of his stickers to give out. What else did I get? Yeah, I got Julia stickers. Really, really cool. Some of Bart stickers. Oh, there we go. You can read it sometimes. It depends on when the flakes, the shiny part of them hit. Pam, my pen friend, gifted me a Tombow fountain pen, which I didn't know Tombow ever made fountain pens, but apparently they did. And so I think Pam actually got it from Peyton Street. And so she gifted that to me, which was super, super nice. And I can't wait to ink it up and just test it out, which will be fun. I also went to the Jet Pens Hobonichi preview event, and they gave away just like a couple of little freebies. So checkbox washi. This is for the weeks. Jetstream. They had a stamp. So I got that. What else? Ooh, Helen from the Coffee Monsters Co. I love her. She's my fave. She was only there for like an hour or so. She's not feeling so great, but she was able to make it to the pen show, which that's all I wanted. I wanted her to experience a little part of the show, and I'm pretty sure she kind of felt the overwhelm a little bit, but she was handing out stickers, so that was really fun. And then she also had stickers at the Esterbrook table, so that was really cool. It's always nice to see friends, especially, you know, local friends and Canadian friends, and catch up. And speaking of the Esterbrook table, I got to meet Couture Pens. So Shannon, in real life, such a kind and fun person, and Brian from Esterbrook, always a fun time. They're always so nice. And they actually gave me one of the Bunga Box Esterbrook collab pens, the Kingfisher. Have you seen that? Because it's so pretty. And so they gave one of those pens for me to gift, like to do a giveaway after my workshop. And so one lucky person in my class won that Bunga Box collab pen, which is so gorgeous. On the DL, I wanted to keep that pen for myself because I don't have one, and it's so gorgeous. But I really, like, again, as much, we all have things, right? Like, I have a lot of things. I have a lot of pens, I have a lot of ink, and I feel like I'm at a point in my hobby too where I would love to just share more. I'd love to give out more things and just like see other people using, like, getting joy out of stationery. And so I was like so ecstatic to give out that pen because the person who won it also was like so grateful, but also they were going through a time where it's like this was good karma for them, right? And I was so glad to be the person to be like, here you go. Here's a pen. Here's an Esterbrook Bunga Box pen, which, like, it is so pretty. It's diamond cast and shiny, and the colors are nice. You picked the wrong workshop. I'm sorry, Paul Falgal. I had giveaways in my workshop just because Esterbrook is so generous, and they love me. No, just kidding. But they wanted to give away stuff, so they gave me a few things to give away at my workshops. As did Tombow, because I work with Tombow on creative things, creative posts. That's like words, creative content. So I work with them on creative content, and so they wanted to give a few things for my workshop as well. So that was really fun. And I did get to keep, what did I keep actually? It's somewhere here. I got to keep blotter paper. That's part of the Kingfisher collab. So if you see these, pick them up because they're really, really pretty. And I don't know where I put them. Oh, I put them here. So they just released the set of blotter papers. Bailey, this is what you need in your hand oil, hot, heavy notebooks. Is blotter paper that you can write on, and that can absorb your inks, all the excess ink, and all your hand oils. But these are really pretty. These are done by Anne Nosak. So her Instagram is Kleines_P on Instagram, and she is such an amazing artist. She's worked with Esterbrook on other blotter paper, but I find like this is just so pretty. And it's super special because kingfishers are a special bird to British Columbia. And so at, the rivers down the street from us, they have signs on like, if you spot a kingfisher, this is what they look like and stuff. And so I just thought it was a really, really nice connection to just like our local sort of wildlife and birds that exist. So that was really fun. I love blotter paper too. I love blotter paper. Blotter paper and everything. I love the kingfisher birds. Yeah, they are so pretty. I love the colors. That's like the blue, teal, these colors just go so nicely together, right? So I can see why they would look really good as a pen and also as like paintings. Shannon is great. Shannon is awesome. It was funny because when I met up with her on Thursday night to pick up stuff for my workshop from her. And we just like launched into conversation without even introducing each other. And I was like, I know you, but really it was the first time we met in real life. I put that shiny sticker on my water bottle. Yeah, this one. It is so shiny. I love shiny stickers too. Oh, so good. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so many fun people that I met. New and just old friends, right? Met Skogsy again. I love seeing Zach and Amy at pen shows. They are so nice and kind. So if you got to the Skogsy table, or if you ever see them at a pen show, definitely check them out. Zach makes amazing pens, but also those two are just like great people to hang out with and to talk to. As is Bart from Zodiac Pens. And Mayfair Pens right beside. So Ben from Mayfair Pens had a table right beside Bart. And then Abby from Maverick Pens was sharing a table with Bart. And so it was kind of like the Cool Cut Club corner. The cool kids hanging out, just having a good time. They were in one of the rooms. And then Eric Gama from Amarillo Stationery was in a separate room, but also it was so good to see him and have that all Amarillo stuff. Everyone needs Amarillo in their life. That whole corner with Abby, Bart, and Ben was trouble. It was, I don't know if the organizers want that. No, they were good times. But they're always trouble. Zach and Amy are fabulous. So fun to talk to. I know. Such kind people. Highly recommend Skogsy. I didn't get to meet Amy, but did meet Zach. I'm sorry, Bailey. Amy is a better half. I'm just kidding. The Elveds, or low volume eyedropper pens that Zach makes, or has started to make, I guess, they were in high demand. So again, when I got there, like 2 hours in, there weren't a lot of things left. As was Michaela from White Bear Pens. White Bear Pens? She sold out, I think, pretty early on Saturday or Sunday, something like that. But anyways, she was sharing a table with Rob. And yeah, who else? Michaela sold out so fast. Yeah, it was in the same room, right? Yeah. That whole room was like, whoa. It was a lot of maker pens, a lot of fun. There was stationery there too. Vanessa was in the same room. Who else? I'm missing people for sure, but like it was literally like going into each room, going into the ballroom, seeing people there. Carolina Pens was there. Jonathan Brooks, always such a nice person to talk to. Ian from Shown Design was like in the foyer in the hall, kind of across the hall from Skogsy. So it was basically like visit Skogsy Pens, turn around and have Ian with Shown Design. And I got to check out the new Evo because someone had the pen. Aiden had the Evo and so kindly let people try it out. So I actually got to test it out here. And it is such a nice pen. If you check out Shown Design, if you don't know what I'm talking about, but Ian's new pens are such a work of art in terms of engineering, the shape, how sleek it looks, and it feels really, really good. It's also very expensive. So budget wise, I wouldn't have been able to budget for it, but it's one of those pens that you can aspire to owning maybe one day, or just admiring too. Like, it is such a feat of like perfect engineering. It looks so good. And also, it's not a pen for everyone, I would say, aesthetically, because it is, very sort of an engineered look to it. And also, yeah, like sort of that metallic kind of look. So if you're not into sort of titanium or, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I mean, right? Like, some people may not be into those kinds of pens and some people are, but just to admire and get to experience what these makers are doing is like, it blows me away at how amazing some of these creations are. Some of these products are super, super cool. Yeah, Papaga, you could have talked to them for hours. I know, I took up a lot of their time just by like chatting, but it's really nice to see, the same type of makers at pen shows and catching up and seeing what they're up to. It's on your wish list. Yeah. You're happy with the one that found you. That entire corner was trouble. Michaela sold out so fast. Yeah, she did have a great showing. And I think if she had brought more pens, if she had time to make more pens, because, it does, obviously, it's a lot of effort for makers. But if she had brought more pens, I am sure, the demand was there. The demand was there for maker pens. She only brought like 20-ish. Yeah, I know. And when I went to the table to check it out, I only saw maybe 4 pens that were left. So definitely people wanted her pens and made their way there. And you know what? Kudos to people who sort of planned out what they wanted and they got there and they got what they wanted, which is exactly what, I would want for people to plan for at shows. Like, if there's something specific you're looking for, definitely prioritize that in your list versus things that, like, there were things I just wanted to see, right? And if they're there, they're there. If not, I just talk to the vendors just to get to know them. And then next time, I'll check out their products. I definitely admired the shown table. Your wallet was like, you better walk away. I know. One of these days, I'm probably like, I would love to have a monarch nib, but I feel the same way about that one, where it's kind of like, am I ready for it? Is my wallet ready for it? It will be one day, maybe. I hope that didn't sound like a slight towards it. No, she would have sold out regardless. I know. And that's what I'm trying to get at in terms of makers, is that a lot of it is upfront effort and time for them, right? Because they're making all these pens. So of course it has to be like something that they have time for, that they can physically do. And I'm sure, if Michaela had time to bring more pens, to make more pens and to bring them, I'm sure she would have. And I'm sure they would have gone, super, super quickly. And so at some point you have to have a work-life balance, even if you're working for yourself, even if it's a side hustle or a side hobby or a part-time gig. You still have to make time for yourself, and you still have to stay sane, right? Like, we're not robots yet, and we obviously have to make time for these things. And so, yeah, I totally get it. You need to head out. Bye, Bailey. It was so good to catch up and chat. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next stream. DC and SF are so close, it's hard to have lots of stock for both. Yeah, that's exactly it. And then there are people that are going to the Orlando pen show, or, the ones that are coming, Dallas, ones that are coming up anyways. And it's like, you gotta I'm not a maker, so I can't speak for them. But for anyone who's sort of having to create things, make things, physically produce things, I'm sure that it's all, you have to plan for these things and you have to sort of think about inventory and stuff. So that's just a general, it's just a general comment that I totally can see it from the perspective of like, what can you do and what can you have at these shows? These shows are huge. And I think even with SF, like every year, I'm sure with other shows too that are just really big, they just seem to get bigger every year. Like there just seem to be more and more people that are coming into this community or that are coming out to pen shows. And there's just so much demand for, independent makers, products that are handmade. And I love that. I love seeing that because, yes, these things tend to be a little bit pricier and sometimes you're kind of, you have to budget for certain things. But they're so worth it. It's like you have something that someone made and put so much time and effort and passion into that I'm so happy that people like the wider community recognizes that and is willing to, offer money in exchange. Like, to us, it's valuable. It's valuable stuff. All very true. Yeah, I wish there was more space between those. I know it's tough, Jacqueline, right? Like when you're trying to plan out which shows to go to and how you're going to manage them. So I can totally see if you can't make it to one, but you can make it to another. And sometimes it has to be alternating years. So I totally get it. But I will say, if any vendor, Jacqueline or anyone else could make it to SF, please come. I would love to meet you and I would love to see what you're up to and what you have. I was talking with Bart and was grinding to prepare that close between the two. Yeah, I know. I totally feel it. I was talking to Eric as well, Gamma Gamma. Same sort of thing. Even if you're not making everything, it's also about like having inventory in stock and bringing all of those things with you. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough sort of balancing act. What I did check out too was glass dip pens. Last year at SF, there was Glass Studio Own, Glassify, and maybe one other glass pen studio, maybe. I forget now, but I did pick up last year a Glass Studio Own glass pen, which is so pretty because in the sunlight, it sort of takes on this gold yellow hue, but when you're sort of holding it up, it doesn't. It's like very opaque looking. And so it's not as bright, but in the sunlight, it looks super, super bright and vibrant. And I love this glass dip pen. It's so gorgeous. And I picked that up last year. And this year I went just to check it out. I wasn't really planning on getting another glass dip pen, but Glass Studio Own was so in high demand. Last year they sold out within a few hours of the first day. So they had no glass dip pens for the rest of the weekend, but they were there to help people sort of test out glass pens, which I think is so valuable and such a great experience. This year, they had a ticketing system, so you had to wait in line first thing, basically in the morning, and get a number. And so you had a ticket, and throughout the day, they would go in sequence, and they had a counter with the number. And so, when it was your turn, you could go up to the table and sort of browse, like take your time, browse, talk to them about the pens. If you wanted to get a pen, you could get a pen and have them sort of adjusted to your liking. I thought that was really nice to have that system in place because it did cut down on the lineups. And all of Octopus knows the lineups for those glass dip pens was like nonstop when they had them. So this year that alleviated the stress of people having to wait in a long lineup. But it meant that you had to be there first thing in the morning to get your number. like to pick up a number, just to have the chance to really browse and then purchase a pen if you wanted to. Because throughout the day, when they didn't have people there purchasing, everyone else, the regular people like me who didn't have a number, you could look at the pens, but you couldn't buy one. And so I don't know how I feel about that. Obviously, I think it worked out for them. So I think it was a positive way of looking at that sort of stressful lineup situation. But for me, it was kind of like, if I was a person who really wanted to buy one, but I couldn't be there first thing in the morning to grab a number, I've lost my chance of purchasing a glass tip pen. And so I think at the end of their Sunday, maybe it was at the end of every day, or it could have been at the end of the show, whatever was left over was sort of open to anyone who wanted to get one. But of course, it's only like a handful of choices. So that's how they dealt with their sort of lineup situation. And then Glassophy, again, was another vendor who sold out almost immediately last year, except for a few pieces. This year, I think they did the same. I think they sold out on Saturday, maybe. That's just from what I heard from them, but they did have a few pieces, maybe. So I don't know how they sort of handled orders and lineups and stuff, because I wasn't there for most of it to see. But they were super popular as well. And then there was also Glass Studio 2s, I think, which I kind of checked out. I didn't get anything, obviously. And I also checked out Lucas at Hanabi Glass Studio. And by the time I got there, again, sort of, the choices were sort of the higher end glass tip pens, which I hadn't budgeted for. And I really just wanted to look at the pens. And I am glad that I did, because really, Lucas does amazing work. And all of Octopus has a glass tip pen. If you ever catch one of Lisa's streams. Yeah. The artwork, like the art aspect of the glass tip pen, it's like gorgeous, mesmerizing, astounding. Like literally looking at one of these glass tip pens, I was like, I don't know how this is even possible in a glass tip pen. It is like pure art. It's so beautiful. Yeah, you used your pen this morning. I know, it's just so like you could stare at it forever, right? Like, the lines are disrupted to the surrounding tables. Yeah, ticketing system helps with that at least. So I think there was a solution there and they tried it out for this year. So I'm curious to see what they thought of for next year, if they're going to do it the same way. And that's fine. If it works, it works. And that's great. They also brought more inventory with them this year versus last year. I know last year they weren't sure of how much to bring. And obviously, selling out within a few hours of the first day means you are in high demand. People want your stuff. And so I know they brought more glass tip pens this year. And I think it helped to, have that ticketing throughout the day so that there wasn't that pressure of, you have to wait in line for forever. And then once you're at the table, you have to make your decision because someone behind you is also looking to purchase. And so I'm glad they sort of worked out a way to do that. I didn't plan on getting a glass pen in DC, but then went to his table. I know. This is what happens. No, I went to, this is probably partly why I didn't go too early on the Friday to check out glass tip pens, because I was like, it's not on my list of things I want to buy or need to buy, but I know I want to buy one. So, but I definitely went by and just kind of had a good chat with these vendors, especially Lucas. Lucas was a really nice person just to chat to. And just talking about like glass products. I know Lucas has an inkwell, which also is really gorgeous, just the glass work. And so you pour a little bit of ink and that's what could help, you could dip your glass tip pen in there to get that ink. So I tried that out and I was like, that's really pretty too. And of course those were sold out except for the ones that, he had as testers. But even stuff like that where it's like accessories to the tools that you're using, I thought that was really a great product, or a great sort of add on to have. Yeah. I can see how the ticket system would be beneficial. Yeah, for sure. You talked you talked with Lucas a lot after hours too. Yeah, I'm glad that it's nice when vendors are able to hang out after hours too, because then you can sort of talk informally, right? Like about just like how they started, what they're into, and then like adjoining things. And sometimes you find you have things in common aside from, right, like the stationary stuff. Sometimes you're just like, you know what, like we just vibe as people, which is so fun to see as well. I found that in general too, just hanging out after hours, talking with people who, were at the show, or like people you've talked to online and then you meet in real life and you're like, this is like comfortable. You just like vibe with people. And it's really fun. So, what else? What else? So I think that's it. That's my haul. I had got some paper, some ink. I got nib grinds from Kirk. I met a lot of people, so I got stickers and little things. What else? Oh, so I didn't buy any pens. I think I already mentioned that. I didn't buy any pens. I saw a lot of pens that were just gorgeous, beautiful. All the maker pens. I wish I could buy all of them. But I think partly why I didn't pick up a new pen at the SF Pen Show. One was it was just so overwhelming in general that I think I was just in a mode where I'm like, I don't want to buy anything right now because I feel pressured. And it's not that someone else put pressure on me. It's just I felt like it was so much. I was taking in so much that I didn't have time to process anything. And so when I was looking at a table of pens, for example, I would kind of look at them like, I can't choose. I love them all. I'm obviously not going to buy them all. But, it was kind of hard. It was hard to narrow down what was something that spoke to me. And being in this hobby for a little while now, I feel like I'm in sort of this place where I know what I like. I don't need everything to test out anymore. I know what I like. I know what kind of colors sort of speaks to me and that I enjoy using all the time. And I have, bright and fun and different. I think I just need things that are me, right? And something that I'm going to use consistently. And so that was part of it. Just being very intentional about what I'm looking for me now to add to my collection of all the things that I already have. And then on top of that, just like, the crowds and having so much sound and things happening around me that it was hard to sort of focus and take in what I was looking at enough to make decisions on what I'm going to spend money on, right? So that was part of it. And then the second piece, I think, is because I went to the Portland Pen Show in July. And so it was like a month ago, and I picked up 2 gorgeous pens from that show. One was the Zodiac Pen Co. It's called Caffeine Withdrawals is the material, by Jonathan Brooks from Carolina Pen Company. And Bart from Zodiac Pens made this into a Capricorn model, which is my sign. Karina, hey girl, what's your sign? So Capricorn is my sign, and so I really wanted that as a pen. And so this is the blank, or this is the pour material that is used in the Esterbrook TCMC, the Coffee Monsters Co. collab pen, as the grip section. And so I wanted to, like, having that as a whole pen was like just really, really fun. And so I got that in Portland. And then I also picked up Gina's collab pen with Shown Design. So it's made by Ian for Gina from Custom Nib Studio, and it's called the Sashiko. And it's an Ultim material, so it's super light but very durable. So it can withstand a lot of action, a lot of denting, or not denting, but a lot of sort of like, you don't have to be precious with this kind of material, which makes it a great pen to use as sort of an everyday carry or always having it on you. And I love it because it's just so classic and sleek, and the design of it, talking to Gina and Ian about how this pen was made, it blew me away. And so I got this in Portland, and it has a perspective nib from Gina in it. And it's just like the perfect pen. It's the perfect pen to have on me, and to use all the time, because I don't have to be super precious with it. It will withstand. it will endure. So I got these two pens in Portland, and I felt like if I hadn't gotten, well, probably this if Bart still had it, but especially this one, if I hadn't gotten it in Portland, I probably would have gotten it in SF. So I think because I got them, I was good. I got two pens that I really wanted. I love the contrast of them too. Like this sort of speaks to my, to a side of me that's like very practical, functional. I love just using things. And then this type of pen speaks to my aesthetic. I like pretty things. I like things that are gorgeous and have like, and yeah, like have color, have some flow to it, which this definitely does. And some shine. It has sparkles, has some shine to it, which is just like a really pretty pen. And so this is kind of the two sides of me that are reflected in a pen form. Squish Magoo, hi. I want a caffeine withdrawals pen to go with my TCMC Esterbrook now too. I know, I'm sorry. Where's my... Yeah, they just go so well together, right? This is my TCMC. So you can see in the band, and then as well as the grip section. I've showed this off so much. Like, look how well they go together. Right? So, yeah, really, really pretty. And that's why, like, when I find pens that, just make me happy, they just kind of, they encompass something that speaks to me on that level of like just being really fun to use and make me enjoy my writing experience so much more than using a simple pen, a simple ballpoint or something. It's just, it's like, yeah, this is fulfilling. Like, I'm good now. Until I find the next pen that just I'm drawn to. And I didn't necessarily feel that in SF, where I was just drawn to something that I had to think, like I was thinking about it, or it sort of got stuck in my head. And that's fine. That's okay. It is a delicious pen. Yes. You inspired me to go with the caffeine withdrawals. Yay! I think mine is a Gemini model though. That's awesome. Hey girl. Yeah. Pen show people are the best to vibe with. I feel very similar to you, girl. I feel like I'm at a happy place in my collection. Yeah, that's awesome, Karina. You don't need to add too much else. And if you do add things, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop, looking for pens or inks or products or whatever, stationery stuff. But it's that I am selective now. I'm very intentional in what I want to add to my collection. And it's not like I have, hundreds of pens or whatever. That's not my goal. My goal is to have an intentional, curated collection that is me. And it will be it will contrast, and I'm okay with that. I will have pens that sort of speak to the side that isn't as flashy, or, is like a quiet, very classic design. And then I will have flashy things because that's kind of what I love as well, right? I also like shiny and fun and bright and colorful. So this goes way back to earlier, but have you or anyone in the chat used the Da Vinci Bible refills like you got from Van Ness? Yeah, Jacqueline, that's a great question. I haven't used it before, and I have heard things about it. And so that's kind of why I picked it up, because I've heard a lot of things about the Da Vinci line. and I'm curious to use these. And these are cream, so it's like similar to Midori. Is Da Vinci's not under design fill? No, I don't think, but it is, you know, similar to Midori cream, and so that's why I picked it up, because I'm curious about that. You do have such a beautiful collection, Karina. But yes, if anyone has used these, or Earful too, like, have you used this paper? And what are your thoughts? Because I did take out a few sheets, and it was, I don't want to say similar to like Cosmo Air Light, but it's sort of along that family probably, to me. So we'll see. We'll see how they, yeah, we'll see what we think. Let's dive into planners, because that's kind of my, like, unless anyone has any thoughts, questions, feel free to throw it into chat about SF or pen shows in general. If you're going to future pen shows, what are you going to? And also, you know, do you have any sort of like things, questions, tips, strategies for how you're going to kind of like experience your pen show? I'd love to hear. And then I think we kind of talked about it in the outset, just planners, right? Hobonichi. So for me, this year I did use some Hobonichi products. I did have 2 weeks. And then I'm also using a 5-year, which I will continue using next year. In 2026, it will be my 3rd year using it. An A5 5-year that I use as an archive. And it's basically just to document the highlights of the day. So it's not thoughts, it's not any kind of journaling, it's not reflections, it's just what happened in that day in my life. That also includes my family. So things that my kids did, my husband, whatever. And it's just, I love seeing year over year how, like, what sort of stood out in a day. And, you know, it's kind of nice to look back on that. And the idea is to have that archive as sort of a family archive for my kids, that in, you know, as I build it out in later years, they can look back and just, you know, see how things changed in our lives, and what sort of happened each day. So the Hobonichi 5-year, I'm going to use that for the next X amount of years. I may even use it for more than the intended 5 years. Just because there's so much space in it. So I'll continue using the Hobonichi 5-year, but in terms of just Hobonichi planners or books, the only thing that I think I will get from them, and I'll pick it up at a local store, is an A6 grid notebook, like a graph notebook, because it will sort of be my companion to the Plotter A5. It will be a space for me just to take notes every day, and if I need to sort of break down projects or tasks, then I have the space to do it in that. And it will probably be the notebook that I carry around, because the A5 is, even though this is slim considering, it's still pretty hefty to have to carry around or travel with, especially. So when I'm traveling, I'm not taking an A5 plotter with me. I am probably going to take a smaller notebook. So I'll get the A6 notebook, and then I'll also, I don't know if you've seen in their lineup the A5 horizontal notebook. So I saw that in person, and I noticed that the grid spacing is a little bit bigger than their usual graph notebook. So if I show you really quickly, like, this is their A6 graph notebook, right? And this is the grid size. It's very, very small. They have an A5 this year that's horizontal. So it's a notebook that you flip horizontally. It's graph, but it's a bigger grid size. So I found that very interesting. And it's also not multicolored like their graph notebooks tend to be, right? I think there's 4 different sections, different color grids. This horizontal notebook is just one color. So I think it would be great, like desk notepad, right? To sort of brainstorm, or to sort of write down notes and things like that. So paper wise, I'm not super picky about if there are. I hope there are no paper inconsistencies, because it's frustrating and it's annoying. But if there is, if there is in the notebooks, then it's not going to be a deal breaker, or it's not going to be as annoying as if a planner was. So I didn't have any issues with my Hobonichi planners this year, by the way. I know people did, and I know it was an issue, but I didn't really have anything that I noticed. It wasn't a noticeable issue. And I did use gel pens mostly. And so that could have been part of it, is that gel pens tended to do a little bit better than fountain pens maybe. But I don't want to take a risk for next year. I'm just going to be honest. I don't want to order. They did say that their paper should be, better. Not on those words, but it should be better for next year. But I don't know that. So until, people kind of come back and we see from the community what the paper is like for next year, I don't want to take a chance and get planners. So I'm sticking with plotter, especially because I got the monthly and the weekly inserts already. So I don't have to pay for shipping, and I don't have to worry about extra fees or anything like that in Canada. I got the monthly and the weekly, and then I got the monthly for the purple square. And again, this is going to be my main planner, everything, sort of catch-all projects, stuff like that. And then my square is going to be hobbies and interests. This year I used, let me show you. This year I used the Sterling Ink N2, so week size. And I use this for hobbies. And so anytime I went to like a meetup, this is where I did swatching. I also tested out pens, Bart's pens. And then in the monthly, what I did was I basically just used the grids section, I guess, like each sort of day box. And I put in like what I inked that month. So just to kind of organize it that way. I didn't really use the monthly for like a monthly view. I used it just a way to organize. And so I kind of liked this. I kind of liked how organized it looked. And then on this side, on the left-hand side, I used it for swatching new inks, new ink bottles, and also noting down like new pens, new nibs, custom ground nibs, stuff like that. So I kind of liked using it that way. And then the Sterling Ink also has this, what is it, quarterly view, right? It's a quarterly, so it has 3 months at a time and then kind of like an overview. And this is where I tracked books that I was reading. So just kind of like doing that. I don't know. Like what I'm reading, and also when I start, when I finish. Most of them were audiobooks. I love listening to books, especially because I'm always sort of like busy doing things. And so having something in my ear to listen to is always fun. And a great way to get through books for me. The weeklies, I didn't really use the weekly too much. Sometimes I would note down if I'm reading a book and I wanted to sort of take notes for my book review. Then I would jot down like on the day that I was reading it, what my thoughts were. And then when I was writing a book review on the book, I would refer back to this section, but I don't think I need that for next year. And so that's why I think I can just get away with having the purple square. And the part that I love is that this, I can carry around with me. So if I go to, meetups or hangouts, pen shows, events, that kind of thing, this is very portable to carry around with me. And it's something that I don't feel like it's too much work to, take it out of my bag and flip it open and use it. It's always a conversation piece too, right? And also the other thing is if people needed to have paper, like if they wanted to test out something and they needed paper, I could just grab paper from here. Versus if I took this, obviously, you know, it's hard to sort of share paper that way as well. So inks look very similar on Earful and Cal. Oh, okay, that's good to know, Olive Octopus. Looks bluer on both, etc. Yeah, yeah. You're going to Dallas, Queen Awashi. Awesome. So you're going to see GHP there probably and a few people. That's awesome. You're facilitating a journaling meetup on Friday at 2 p.m. I think I want an FC. And past that, I'm going to see what's there and hang out with pen friends. Yeah, for sure. That sounds like a good sort of balance between why you're going, right? To meet people and to hang out with people. And then also you're going to a show. So there's going to be products, and it's good to sort of pick out the few things that you want to take a look at, whether or not you acquire them. Squish McGill, I have 2025 cousin with bad paper. Oh no! So I'm skipping the Hobonichi planner this year too. I got a cover but pre-ordered an A5 just scribbles planner book. Yeah, that's another way to do it, is just to get the covers and then fill it with another planner. Or, you know, if you are kind of worried about paper for this year or for next year, waiting until the wider community has sort of tested the paper and what is the sort of like what are people seeing in terms of quality and stuff, right? It's one thing for Hobonichi or another planner company or any paper place, any paper company saying, oh, we've worked on our paper and it's great and it's going to be fine. But they're kind of coming at it from a general, you know, point of view. So it might be totally fine for gel pens. It might be totally fine for ballpoint pens. But we are very specific in the tools that we use. And if you use fountain pens or inks, or you like to use dip pens, which might put down a lot more ink, then we are very specific, right? So in those ways, it helps to see what other people are thinking once they get those planners in hand. So yeah, it might be a bit of a wait, but you know, we have a few months to go. So I think we'll be okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Meet up with people. Meet up with people. So good. So planner is basically going to be Plotter. I don't have, or I'm not getting any other dated inserts or books. Like I said, I have the Hobonichi 5 years, so I'm going to use that. But in terms of dated like inserts, I got was just for my plotters. And that's it. I was thinking of getting a TN weekly horizontal in the standard size to use as a memory keeping insert. Because I kind of like doing that this year too, is like a place to use stickers, washi tape, make it look aesthetic. And I kind of liked sitting down at the end of a week and reflecting on the week that passed, looking at my rapid log journal entries just to sort of organize them into like, what are the highlights of that week? And then taking out my TCMC stickers and all the other things to decorate and like create spreads or create sort of memory keeping spreads. So anyways, I wanted to do it in a TN, but I don't know if I will get a dated insert. I think I might just use, I have plenty of nice inserts that have really nice covers, and they are just like plain paper, right? And I think I can just use like a plain paper insert and just date it when I'm doing sort of these weekly reflections or journaling spreads. So yeah, that's my thought at the time. Anyways, that's my thought for now. Papa Gal, bye. Have a good one. There. That's awesome. Karina, bye. Bye, Karina. You're heading out. Well, I'm glad you were able to join us for a little bit, even though you're sick. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, go back to bed and get some rest. You're trying hard to shop your stash. Yeah, you have undated planners. Yeah, right? Like, or even like just notebooks that you can use as planners. But again, like a lot of us have notebooks in our stash, but it's like there's part of the FOMO, right? Yes, you can use what you have, but at the same time, it's like there's so many like options for dated planners. So I definitely get it, especially when, planner companies have all these nice planner covers, colors or designs or collab, like Hobonichi doing collab designs and covers. So I totally get it. I get wanting to have dated planners from multiple companies or brands. It's definitely hard to shop our stash sometimes, especially if there's like a wider community sort of planner season or, a movement to transitioning to new planners in the new year. Does anyone know where to order ink samples with reasonable shipping to Canada? Ink samples. I know, I don't know where you are in Canada, Squishmagoo. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm in BC. But Wonder Pens, I think, sometimes does ink samples. I'm trying to think. Some stores do it in the store, like at the retail location. And I don't know if they ship them out or not. I've been meeting with you. Bye, Olive Octopus. It was so good to see you for a little bit in my stream, and it was good to be in your stream. Have a good one, and I'll see you in your next stream. I say that, and I know Passion Planner will be dropping a few beautiful covers next week, right? That's how they get you. That's what it is, Papa Gal. You're like, you know what, though? That one cover that really just, gets you. It also, sometimes we're into covers that are aesthetically pleasing, color-wise or whatever, design-wise. And it gets us to use the books more. Like, I don't know about you, but I can't go back to sort of like boring covers or boring planners just for the sake of using it as a planner. I kind of need something to sort of draw me to them. Whether it's, like a nice texture or something like that, right? And so I think that's part of it maybe for us, is just being drawn to what is encompassed, like what the planner sort of looks like and feels like, and it sort of encourages us and motivates us to use the contents. You're on the East Coast. Yeah, check out Wonder Pens, because I think I know they were doing it. I don't know if they do it still, but I know they had options for ink samples. Especially like go to the page of the ink bottle, and then sometimes in the drop down you can order the bottle, or you can order a 2 ml or a 3 ml ink sample. So check that out for sure. There is no going back. Yeah, for sure. Then what else am I going to use? I'm going to keep it pretty simple for next year. I'm trying to consolidate a little bit. That's me saying that, but I probably still will end up with like 6 or 7 systems in my lineup, just because I like to compartmentalize a little bit. So I have a planner for planning. And then I have a journal for like journaling my thoughts. Then I have a book for archiving or just documenting daily events. Then I like to have a space for hobbies, interests, something that's like not related to tasks or things that like I have to do. This is more like a fun play space. And I like separating that. And then what else? And then memory keeping. I like to have a book where I can put stickers and washi and collage, throw in ephemera. So like when I acquire things from a pen show, or if I get happy mail and there's those extra really fun things that shops and people like to throw in, I like to have that in like a place. And usually I use a TN insert for that, just because they're pretty slim. And so if you add a little bit of bulk to it, you're close to the end of the insert. So I don't use like a regular notebook for that just because it stresses me out if it's too chunky. I love chunk, but I don't like to sort of have to worry about it being too much for the notebook. So that's kind of it, I think. Yeah, and then like I said, Hobonichi, probably just 1 or 2 notebooks from them. Nothing really from anyone else. And this is me saying that after using all these different planner brands for this year for different purposes, right? And as much as I love them and I liked experimenting, again, I think I'm at a place where I know what sort of works for me, what I keep coming back to, and what my needs are. So I know portability is one thing, functionality is another. So in terms of planning, I do like having everything in one place, and that will be the A5. But I think a companion with this to carry around is kind of where I'm headed. So yeah, that's kind of my systems. But I will do a more in-depth YouTube video where I like to sort of go through what I've been using so far this year, what has worked for me, and based on that, what I'm going to use moving forward. And so I will do one for 2026, like what my lineup is going to be. But that will be in a month or so, when I've confirmed and I'm going to stick to it, right? Because we don't want to say it too early, because sometimes we make emotional decisions and then you end up with 1 or 2 extra books that you may not need, but that you just are drawn to. So we'll see. But I know for sure that I'm loving my plotter system. And like I said, it may not be for everyone. And you might be one of those people who you just want to play with rings. So try out rings and see if you like them. And you might be one of those people who can't do rings, and that's okay too. So whether you go with rings or a hardbound, actual notebook planner system, I hope that you are able to get what you want, whether it's a pre-order or, you're able to order it. I hope you get what you want, and I hope that the paper behaves for you. I hope the paper for 2026 is not going to have all of these sort of issues and drama associated with it. That's all. I always love seeing how you use your systems. Yeah, I want to definitely pare down so I can be more consistent. You know what it is for me? It's not so much that I want to pare down. I know people say that where they're like, I want to consolidate because it's such a waste to have, 10 books. Look, if 10 books work for you and they keep you motivated, they keep you organized, they keep you enjoying using your books, go for it. I am all for have as many notebooks or planners or systems as you need. But when it gets to a point where it starts to get overwhelming to keep up, or if, like in my case, when I'm traveling or, just day-to-day kind of stuff, having kids, I can't spend a ton of time on journaling and a ton of time on my notebooks as much as I want to. I wish I could just journal all day long. But I have to be a little bit more intentional. So when I do have free time to journal or to plan or to, sort of sit down and think about my week and my day, I just find that if I have more books, I know I'm not going to have the time to keep up with them, and I'm going to feel overwhelmed on which book I need to, use. And when I'm traveling, I obviously can't travel with all of my notebooks. As much as I want to carry all the journals and planners to show people or to even have them on me, I can't. And so what I end up doing is I just pare it down to a couple of books, maybe a journal, definitely have a notebook or a planner with me so that I'm organized. And so knowing that those are my necessities, those are my essentials, sort of helps me come up with a core lineup. So I have my core planner, my core journal, and then everything else is kind of an add-on. So those add-ons is where I have to be intentional and picky about what I use. And so I know that I want a space, for example, like for my hobbies and interests, because I want a space to play in And when I'm traveling, I want to have paper and space where I can sort of, test things, play with things, try out things, and I can always refer back to. Like, I would love to have this at other pen shows or events where I can look back and see, these are the fountain pens I've tested. These are the nibs that I've tested. And this is kind of what I really liked. So it sort of helps to build on my journey in this hobby. And so that's kind of the intentionality part of it, is that I don't need 5 notebooks to document all sorts of different things, when really what I want to do is I want to have a space for specific things. And if that means, moving from a hardbound sort of planner to a ring-bound flexible system, then that's what I'll be experimenting with. Yeah, and then on top of that, having a TN cover lets me have multiple inserts in them, so it doesn't feel as overwhelming to have my TN system. So that's a way you can consolidate too. And then other things like Rotorfaden, where you have a cover and you can have multiple notebooks in it, so that if you are one of those people like me that like to compartmentalize and separate things out just for, just to feel like you're on top of everything, then, having something like that too is helpful, because you can keep multiple notebooks and multiple systems in one place. And so if you are sort of grabbing something to go or grabbing something to work in, it's kind of helpful that way. So that's where I'm kind of headed, is consolidating, not because I don't want to use multiple notebooks, but consolidating because I know for me, I want to focus on certain areas of my life, especially with the time that I have available. So that's how I'm kind of coming at it. I would journal all day long if there was enough to write about. That's another thing, right? Like, what do you sort of... Thanks, Papagal. What do you sort of write about? That's the other thing. What do you journal about? And like, I have kids, so I can journal about things that they're doing, things that are happening, obviously things that are going on in the community. But I will also say that I don't have a whole day's worth of like journaling that I can do. So in that case, I take out my stream of consciousness notebook, which in this year I used the Sterling Ink B6 516 page. And so I still have this much left. And basically what I did in this was, I'll do a quick flip. This is my stream of consciousness and everything notebook. So anytime I just wanted to write with a fountain pen, anytime I just wanted to just do something, writing wise, I took out this notebook. And stream of consciousness for me is in line with The Artist's Way by Julie Cameron. And a few people in the community are going through the process right now of following The Artist's Way. And one of the things there are morning pages, right? So I think most people have heard of morning pages, where you just sit down after you wake up, and sometimes people do it at night, and you just write a few pages of just whatever sort of comes to mind. And it's not filtered, it's not pre-thought, it's very much just, a brain dump of anything. And you don't worry about grammar, you don't worry about aesthetics. And so that's where I use cursive, where I just quickly write down anything that comes to mind. And for me, it's a relaxing practice of me to get out of my head. And a lot of times I have, these random sort of thoughts that just kind of, I hyper focus on just, like for example, planners. And I start to think and overthink about, the planners that are out there and whether I need them, etc., etc. And sometimes just sitting down and getting those thoughts onto paper gets them out of your head for at least a little while. And so you can start to focus on things that actually matter or things that you do need to think about. And so that's my other sort of form. If I don't have anything to journal about or anything to write about, or I just want to sit down and use my fountain pens, like if I've inked up a few fountain pens and I just want to write with them, that's where I take out my stream of consciousness notebook. And I don't, like, it is such a chunky notebook that I don't worry about using multiple pages, right? Like, it's not like using a daily planner where you only have one page. This is sort of like one of those, like, it's fine. I can write for 5 pages if I want to, right? I'll just get a new notebook. I have many of them, as long as they're fountain pen friendly. And you don't even need to use a fountain pen, right? Like, grab any pen, gel pen, whatever. But it's kind of just the act of writing and the act of getting your thoughts onto paper without filtering them, worrying about them. You can write really messy so that no one else can read it. And you can also get rid of your notebook after. Like, I don't think I'm going to archive this book. I may keep it just to remind myself that I used this type of notebook, what the paper was like, as a reference, but I'm not going to keep it for, like, it's not going to be an archival book for me. Unlike some of my other journals or memory keepers. And so yeah, I kind of like that. It's disposable. I don't need to keep it. And so that in itself relieves the pressure of what I write in it. So I don't need to sort of be intentional about the words that I'm using. Doesn't matter. And it doesn't need to look a certain way. So yeah, if you do sort of think about, like, if you have notebooks or you want to get notebooks, but you don't know what to use them for, I highly encourage looking into the Artist's Way, or if people sort of talk about stream of consciousness writing, morning pages, those practices, I think for me, are very helpful, and they might be helpful for other people as well. It's a nice size, yeah. Do you like watching the ink flow from the nib? No, Indy, I'm 100% like that. It is weird, but I'm like that. We're both weird. No, I'm just kidding. I think a lot of people are like that. I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying that to make myself feel better too. Just like you, Indy. But at least I'm like that too. That's why I'm into broader nibs nowadays. I started my fountain pen journey with extra fine and fine nibs because I used to write very small. Now my writing, as I age maybe, my writing has gotten a little bit bigger. And it's also partly because I love seeing ink properties, and probably why I love painting with them is I'm mesmerized by ink colors, shading, the ink coming out of the nib. It's so weird. It's just like, so that's partly why I like broader nibs now. And when I do get nibs ground, I like line variation, because then I can sort of experiment with how I'm holding the pen and watch, how that affects the line, how that affects the ink. Stop me from talking about this. It's almost magical. Yes, I'm so glad someone else brought this up. Yeah, Paul Palgal too. It's so fun to watch the ink flow, for sure. I often get distracted by it. Yes. Why I like juicy nibs. I know. And that's why it's also fun to use broad, juicy nibs on, like, when you're just writing, because then for me, like, I don't need to focus on the words that I'm writing. I just want to focus on the nib. I just want to focus on the writing experience. So that's what I kind of mean too when I'm talking about enjoying the writing experience, is that putting fountain pen or a nice pen to paper, but also watching the nib and ink flow is part of that. The whole experience is very enjoyable. I'm so glad I'm not the only person. The sparkly inks. Yes, I know. Shimmer inks are mesmerizing. Keep going. Yeah, so I'm so glad you brought that up. And also, if you're into dip pens or glass dip pens, right? that's part of the experience of using a glass tip pen too, is that they're just gorgeous, right? As glass pieces, but also because you can actually see, you know, dipping of the ink and watching that ink spread and flow onto the paper. Seeing that whole process is really, really nice. It's like super, super fun. Franz, totes late to the party. But glad to hear you talk about how you use your pens. Ah, hi, friend. Agree that the nib and writing experience is like the biggest deal. That's awesome. Franz is amazing. He is such a big part of the SF Pen Show and the SF Stationery Fest and my go-to for workshops. And I am forever grateful to you for letting me do the workshops, because they are such a great part of the pen show for me as an instructor, but also I think just overall. So all the work that you do, thank you so much. Gel pens just aren't the same. I know, gel pens aren't the same. Amazing. I used my glass tip pen this morning. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Also very fun. Yeah. I like to use my, Franz would know, the Glass Studio Own. Such gorgeous glass tip pens. I like to use my glass tip pens actually for just like daily drawing. So I have an A6 5-year from Hobonichi that I'm in my second last year in, I think. And every day I use it to write like gratitude. So just highlights of the day that I'm really grateful for. But on the right hand side where there's sort of an empty grid page, I use that to do drawing. And I just sketch a flower a day using a glass tip pen, because I know, like, for me to sit down and actually pen like a whole journal entry might be too much, or might be asking too much of me. But if I was just going to dip it into a vial of ink and just do a quick sketch and then that's it, then I'm more likely to do it. And so that's kind of what I use glass tip pens for currently. But yeah, next year I'd love to sort of spend more time with less books, but more tools, if that makes sense. So less planners and less, notebooks and journals, but taking out my fountain pens, my dip pens, my, Kakimori dip, nib, paintbrushes, and then just kind of having fun in my books a little bit by spending more time with those tools versus just like having to, fill up like 10 different notebooks and stuff with thoughts and things that are happening. That's kind of a goal. So we'll see. They are very, very fun. Yeah, that one is pretty, right? Yeah, there's pretty ones. And then, as long as you feel like you can use it, I feel like sometimes maybe they're so pretty that you feel, well, they're glass, so you already feel kind of anxious about not breaking them. But sometimes they're so beautiful that you may not feel comfortable taking it out and actually using it. And same can be said about fountain pens. But if it's, something that you're going to reach for because it's just something pretty you're going to look at, you're going to enjoy, but also use, then that's kind of a good balance or good medium to be at. Yeah. Thank you for being there, and to everyone that attended as well. Franz, you're so kind. I hope you had fun too, as like you were running around so much. I hope that you were able to check things out and get a haul of your own. Pick up some goodies. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, it's so pretty. I was coloring a picture with shimmer ink and my glass pen. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way of using it, Indy. Especially too because you can go from different inks, right? You can use different inks super, super easily. Just like any dip pen, really. But glass pens are just so special. They're so nice. Well, that's all I kind of had. I wanted to talk about the show. which was super, super fun. I can't wait for it next year. I do have, like, I want to plan it a little bit more in terms of like taking more video, more footage, documenting it more, having more photos to share. But I will share, I'll do an Instagram post of the photos I do have and sort of my thoughts around them. So look out for that on Instagram. And I think I do have some video footage I can sort of throw into a YouTube video in terms of like a recap. So hopefully I can do that. And then I also have a Substack where it's basically a blog. So I'll do a recap there too if you kind of like to read things, including tips if you're going to a pen show. And then just my thoughts on like what I'm hoping to do next year to kind of make the most of the time that I do have at the show. Giving out stickers. I'm so bummed that I had so much stuff. I had a bunch of stickers and things that I wanted to give out, and I didn't necessarily sort of remember to give out stickers and stuff like that. So it's all good though. I think everyone who went had a great time, and aside from like how busy it was, there was space to kind of step away and hang out with people. And I love that. I love that at every show, if there's time to sort of step away and then have hangouts or meetups and stuff like that. Happy Friday, Needle Girl. I'm almost done my stream. But it's so good for you to join. Were you lurking before, or was that in Olive Octopus's stream? I like writing with the pretty ones. It makes writing more fun. Yeah, I like writing with the pretty ones too. Indy, I feel like you and I just like to like gaze at our tools as we use them. And it's like such a vibe. It's a needlepoint tip. So it does fine details. That's awesome. Do you feel like you worry about the tip because it's glass, right? Like, does it scratch up your paper? Probably not. I mean, they do such a great job of smoothing those tips that they're just like such a great experience gliding over paper. Let's do a live next year. I'll send you pictures that I took from the show. Awesome. Yeah. I know I had people sort of say like, let's film or let's do lives or and I wanted to do a live and that didn't happen. So we'll see how we can organize it a little bit better next year in terms of like how much time we have available and what to do with that time, because I also would have loved to sort of tackle the show floor with a more organized way of like documenting it, but also if I was able to do it live, how would I have sort of done the walkthrough and stuff like that. So maybe thinking ahead and planning it in a way where I'm not sort of experiencing it as I'm there, but pre-planning so that I know this is how I'm gonna kind of take it on. I think that's kind of going to be a goal of mine. I write it a little hard, so I worry about breaking the tip of the glass pen. Yeah, if you do write really hard, especially with a glass tip pen, a medium, like I use a medium or broad are still like really good options. And I find that especially with the one I got from Glass Studio Own. So I guess it depends on what brands you get them at, but they do such a great job at keeping that ink flow consistent, just with the grooves and the design of the pen, so that the ink doesn't just like get thrown onto paper, which can be fun. But if you're coloring something in, or you want those finer lines, you want a glass dip pen or any dip nib really that can hold the ink and just have that consistent flow. So you know what you're getting. I came in the very beginning with and had to, okay, yeah. That's my Twitch story all the time. I'm glad, Needle Girl, that you at least get a little bit of time, at the very least, to jump into, though. It's always good to have you. We can make it happen. Yeah, well, we'll see. After Hours was Yeah, it was so fun. But again, it was a lot, right? It was a lot to take in. It was a lot of people to like catch up with. I think I did a pretty good job this year. I know last year I felt bad because there were a lot of people I wish I could have said hi to. And I think I felt a little, I just felt a little awkward doing it. And so this year I was like, I've gotten to know people online. I've been a lot more, like, I've put myself out there a little bit more, like in, other Twitch streams and chat, Slack, Discords. So I felt more comfortable going up to people and just be like, you may know me. We've talked a little bit, and, just sitting down and kind of chatting about stuff. And I know last year there were a lot of people that I saw in passing that later I was like, I know you, but I didn't say hi. It's okay. This year I think I did a pretty good job about like, talking to people, but also there were people that came up to me that, knew me from my content or from my streams, which I super appreciated. Like, I thought that was really, really cool. And if you came up, or if you wanted to and you felt awkward about it and didn't, I get it. I get it, because I was there too. I totally get it. So we're hoping to attend next year. That would be awesome. Yay. I'm trying to get I will try and get as many people as I can to go to SF next year, because it's one of those shows that is sort of a consistent show that I can go to. So whether or not I teach workshops, which is totally up to Franz, because he knows I would love to. But even if I wasn't, like, it's one of those shows, it's just so fun. Tons of really good vendors, tons of great people there. It's a good size for me. Like, I know it's big. It's big. And it can be overwhelming, but it's a great size because you get a little bit of different things. There's variety. And then you also get the overseas vendors, which, like, for me and other people, to order online or to try and find their products is sometimes hard. And sometimes it's like impossible unless you go in person. So next time I'm in Japan, basically. But seeing them in person and getting to sort of see, their products and experiencing it, even though I may not have bought a bunch of things, it's like, at least now, it's in my it's on my radar. I used to do IG Live. Yes, you did, Franz. You did. I remember that now. IG Live walkthroughs. But it does get hectic. Yeah. Then you then forget to do one altogether. After hours workshop for Corolla. What do we think? Huh? I like the idea. I think we could do something fun after hours. Pop-Out Gal will be at it. I know for sure. You're thinking of going to SF in Chicago next year? Yay! That would be awesome. Indy, I learned not to shake the glass pen upside down. Yeah, don't do that. I do worry about breaking a little, but I love writing with it. Yeah, I think once you sort of get used to the feeling of writing with glass, it's just like, of course, at first you're kind of, I don't want to break it. You have that kind of feeling. But then once you sort of keep doing it consistently, you get a feel for how much pressure you do need to put on the pen to get it to write, but also that you don't need as much pressure. So I think that's part of it too. It's not a ballpoint. The ink will flow as long as you have enough ink on it. But I love that, but it's too far away. No. I love it. We can maybe do an Pop-Out Gal loves this live aspect to it. I don't know. But I do like the idea of hang out, experience things. I love that idea. Yeah. Let's talk. I was even trying to take video and it was too hectic for me. Yeah, yes, I do remember Franz did lives and did live walkthroughs. But then also the other thing was, like, people would come up to you and, like, start having conversations and stuff. And so that's kind of like not only a distraction, but like you have things. You have things you need to do, and people you need to see, right? You're important. I guess that's part of doing like a live walkthrough, is you're interacting with people as you're doing the walking. So whether or not you're talking to vendors or like people who are there, it's like you have to be on point. Like you have to sort of get yourself back into what you're looking at and what you're telling people who are watching, who are not there in person. Let's do it. Yes. Let's do it. Hey, listen, I wanted to reach out. This is directly to Franz, so everyone else. I wanted to reach out about SF Stationery Fest. So I'll drop you an email. Let's see. But look out for that. You need patience for writing for the ink too. Yeah, I know. Especially when you first dip the pen and it's like just starting that ink flow. Don't get impatient. Just let it do its thing, right? It doesn't have to be live. I know. I'm just teasing you, Papa Gal. You love teasing things. Yeah, SF Stationery Fest will be in March. I know. I saw that. I saw it on socials, right? They have an Instagram you can follow and a website. And I saw it, and then Franz mentioned it in person. I was like, oh yeah, Stationery Fest. So that's in at the end of March. I think it's the last weekend of March. I think it'll be. I don't know anything. Like obviously it's the first year, so I don't know how it's gonna go. But I think it's gonna be great. I just feel like the SF location, like having it in SF, the people that will come out to it, and then the vendors that can be there. I think all of those things, just seeing from how stationery has done at the pen show, people go crazy. People go crazy for stationery. Email app is going to be open soon. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Good to know. And just seeing like people enjoy stationery at the pen show and who are into fountain pens, but also adjacent accessories and, you know, all of those like stickers and all of those things, all of those extras. It was really fun. It was really fun to see. I'm going to add this list of possible shows to attend. You should add it to your list. March 27th to 29th. SF Stationery Fest next year. At the same hotel too. So, you know, right? You know how to, like, you fly in, you know how to get there. You know the layout, right? So it's super convenient in that way, so that you know. Yeah. Oh, even better. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know where it's going to be and you're familiar with the area and stuff now, right? You've been to your first pen show, G. You know now. You have been inducted into the pen show club. And all of the people. Now you know all the people. Yeah, so that's going to be fun. SF pen show next year. Who knows what else? Like I feel like there's going to be even more stationery fests and stationery events. And that's kind of exciting, just to have like you have the pen shows, which always happen. But then on top of that, all these extra stationery events and fests where you can, meet more people and enable them. Or just, meet people who are into the other hobbies that we also kind of like. You're a veteran now? Yeah, practically. Like, you've done it. You've been there. You've done it. You've survived, right? You did it. Going to Chicago Planner Conference it's this year in November. They've added a lot of fountain pen vendors. Yeah. Fountain pens. I feel like people who are like more in or sort of started in planners and stationery, I feel like a lot of them are, more open to fountain pens and inks and playing with, the the pen side of the hobby, where, you know, maybe they were more into like gel pens and that kind of stuff. Now they're kind of delving into the rabbit hole of fountain pens. And I'm here for it. I like it. I love that, you know, there's a crossover there, because it makes sense, right? Like if you're into stationery and paper, especially, and you're into like high quality paper, where you can use inks and you can sort of push the properties or like what the paper can handle. If you can push it with fountain pens and inks and things like that, then like I feel like you would get a lot more out of paper. I've definitely seen fountain pens grow more in the planner community. Yeah. I'm one of those people. Yeah. That's okay. It didn't take you too long, but you did dive in. So you caught up really quick. Where some people may sort of like dip their toes and just maybe get 1 or 2 pens and see how they feel about them. You were just like, yes, all of the pens. I hope to attend the CA pen show in February. Yes. As an attendee, so my wallet's going to be mad at me. Yeah, France, start preparing for that now. Although on the positive side for your wallet, the California Pen Show is not as big as the SF Pen Show. So, you know, you'll get more time to sort of look at things and be more selective maybe. So maybe that's good for your wallet. I don't know. But it would be nice for you to go to a pen show and not have to like work it, right? Like to be super busy during it, because it'll be busy enough just experiencing. And I think just like attending a pen show as an attendee is a lot. It's overwhelming. It's also a lot of things coming at you. So to not have to work it is going to be a good thing. So hopefully you are able to go. Hopefully I can go. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to commit to a California Pen Show. It would be my 3rd year, and as much as I do like it, I feel like I'd love to sort of, you know, give other pen shows a chance to, if I can. So it might be like California Pen Show or the SF Stationery Fest, but we'll see. We will see. You jumped in with both feet for sure, Indy. Yeah. You went all in, Pop Gal. You dove. I did too, though, I think. Well, no, I started in fountain pens with 2 pens that I had for about 10 years before the pandemic hit, and then I threw myself into fountain pens and inks and all the things. So I had a Lamy and a Parker for about 10 years, and I used them in a Moleskine, which, like, don't do that. No one told me Moleskine is not fountain pen friendly. And I was just like, oh, I guess, you know, ink's supposed to feather on paper or whatever. You know, I was kind of like, whatever, it's better than a ballpoint. And, well, I was more a gel pen user. So it was a gel pen and then fountain pens. And I was like, whatever, it's okay. I'm just journaling. And it wasn't until I found a community of fountain pen people, and Brad, the pen addict, and just, you know, Job's journal even, you know, of journaling and making it more enjoyable and aesthetic, and spending more time with it. And yeah, and finding these people, and they were like, have you like tried different papers? And so that's when I got really into paper. And that's why even to this day, I love testing paper. So I can't wait to test out Canopus. I can't wait to test out Irreful. And yeah, just all the different types of paper, because I now have learned that there is really good paper out there. And even if, you know, sometimes they go through these hurdles like TRP, but there are alternatives out there, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm so glad that we don't have to resign ourselves to, you know, one type of paper that may or may not work with fountain pens and inks. The pen select meat. Especially them pelicans, those birds. They come as a flock. When one gets you, you end up with just... Bart would probably say the same. Bart and his pelicans too. But they are very gorgeous, and they are great, right? Like those nibs, right? Juicy and oh, wow. As long as you're enjoying them, then yeah. Let me know if you want to talk about anything else, but that's kind of it for my SF recap. Things I got. I didn't get much, but I had a lot of good encounters, really great memories, really great chats with people. I met so many creative people. I met so many people just in the community that are either they're, leading with their ideas and sharing what they're doing with it. And then there's also, people who are just part of that community who make the community what it is just by being here, being in my stream, being in, other people's streams, and just by, using the things and wanting to talk about them. Like if there was no one in my chat, I'd be like, I'm just talking to myself. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate you for being here and for being part of the community. And for wanting to talk about all these like nerdy things that brings us joy, lets us play with, stationery and supplies and stuff, but also just gives us a few moments out of everyday life, everyday stress, all the adulting that we sometimes have to do, just to sort of have those moments where we're just having fun and we're playing and we're just talking about stuff and we're talking about fun stuff. Agreed. Exploring different papers is a nice adventure. Yeah. You love Canopus? He sold out on Sunday. Yeah, I was so lucky to get a notebook from Yamamoto on Friday. Because I was like, I need to get that Canopus notebook for sure. So I went to Plotter and then I went to Yamamoto Papers and I got it. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be sort of more wider availability of Canopus and also like all the new paper that's coming out. And I can't wait to see, how the community sort of reacts to the different paper options, because as people try papers, you start to get a sense of what those papers are ideal for, and also how people are using them. Like, are they planner, like good for planning or being in planners, or are they more for like art, art purposes or creative purposes? So that's kind of, I'm curious to see how that sort of plays out as well. Your new favorite is a vintage platinum. Ooh. Anything vintage and also platinum. That's nice. Agreed. Explored. Yeah. I went to the Pelican seminar at SF. Oh, you went to that one, Pop Out Gal. It was so fascinating to hear the history of Pelican pens. Yeah, I wish I could have gone to that. That seemed very interesting. But I'm glad you got to experience that. It seemed very, very interesting. Yeah. Definitely, as I was saying earlier, too, is that France, a lot of people really enjoyed the Thursday night, like add-on stuff. So like the seminar, the panel, things like that, just to kind of round out the weekend at SF, right? Like you're going to a pen show, but if you're there on Thursday night, there are things to do. There are events or, hangouts, meetups. And then if you're there until Sunday, like there's things to do on the Sunday as well. And it's not just looking at products the whole time, right? So that's the beauty of the pen shows, is like, yeah, you're going to see vendors and you're going to see what's new and what's cool product wise, but also you're there for people and to meet people and to hear history, stories, and how people are using things. I feel like the sharing aspect of the community is how we come up with, right? Like it's inspiring. And also we come up with ways of using what we have, which maybe we didn't think of before that. And yeah, so that's why I love hearing how people are using their stuff. And then I love sharing how I'm using it because, you know, sometimes it may help other people also get into using their stash and using their books and their systems in ways that they may not have done before. So, yeah, but it's been fun, friends. I need to go and have some lunch before I pick up the kids from school. But no, this was really, really fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you were lurking or if you're watching the replay, I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being here and being part of the community. And like I said earlier, because the kids are back in school, so I am going to try and stick to my regular Wednesday morning live streams on Twitch. And I probably post it on Instagram as a reminder, but yeah, come hang out. Well, this was more just like talking about stationery and planners and stuff, which had to be done. But next week, I'm probably going to play with some inks. So some of the newer inks that I've gotten. We'll do some writing samples with fountain pens. I haven't done a currently inked spread in a while, so I want to do that. But yeah, come with questions, come with chatter, come with your ideas as well. And we'll hang out, we'll chat, and have a great time. Right? Like the time flies. I was like, I'm just gonna stream for like an hour or so. And then, you know, we've been going for, oh my goodness, 3 hours. Wow. This is one of the longer ones, which is totally fine because I had so much fun. And I love the like drop-ins and stuff too. I went on Thursday, but not early enough to attend some of the events. Yeah, same. I shop Friday, Saturday was workshop day, and Sunday was custom nib time. Pal Gal, that's a great way to organize your pen show, actually, right? Like, you did it really well. Friday, shopping, because that's when you'll see most of the things still in stock. Saturday, workshop day, so you get to hang out with people and sort of step away from the show and use the things that you've acquired maybe, too. And Sunday, custom nib time. Yeah. I'm glad. I that's a great way of sort of tackling a pen show like this. I'm so glad you could attend too. Yeah, sounds so fun. Yes, glad you came, Franz. What a great surprise. It's like when Karina comes in and kicks the door down. She's like, I'm here. I'm like, Karina. I wish she was here now, but she's kind of sick, so she had to go take a nap. But Franz, you're the same way. You kick in the door and you're like, yes, I'm here. Let's talk. I love it. I love it. We had a lot to chat about today, for sure. We had a lot, and good luck with all your planning. If you are getting anything that's sort of launching around this time, I wish you all the best, and we'll talk again when we sort of finalize planner lineups and stuff. I love hearing how other people are planning on using different systems for 2026, and I love sharing how I'm using mine too. So we'll keep kind of talking about planners because this is the season for it, right? You'll have Thursday events again next year. Yeah, that was a great add-on for this year for sure. And more, just overall, more like events, more workshops, and ways to hang out with people, I think was like a great way of, balancing, but also sort of making the show more fulfilling for people so that they came, they bought things, they hung out, they learned things, they got to play and be creative. And I'm sure that, you know, people sort of got the things that they wanted to out of a show like this. So kudos, Franz. Good job. Amazing. So I'll see you next week if you're around, friends. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the VODs or the replays, and also in other people's streams like Olive Octopus and Brad, the Pen Addict, and and others. So Take care, friends. Go play with your stationery. And yeah, I'll see you next time, okay? Bye.